It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott's here. Richard Campbell is here. This was, I think they said, the second biggest Patch Tuesday yesterday in Microsoft history. We'll talk about what was fixed and what was added. Also, a little bit about the first Snapdragon X2-based PCs. They're starting to come out now. And a big hike in Surface prices. That and a whole lot more next on Windows Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. Episode 979, recorded Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. The Nespresso of the PC world. It's time for Windows Weekly. Well, lo and behold, the heavens have opened, and here they are, the hosts of your show, Mr. Paul Thurrott from Thurrott.com. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Leo.
And all the way from New Zealand, joining us by the magic of the internet, Mr. Richard Campbell of .NET.
One of those.
.RockNet. RunAs Radio.com. Hello, Richard. Yeah. Or should I say, hello, Richard? Actually, that's not Kiwi.
No, it's
Kiwi accent's interesting.
They are interesting, without a doubt. There's been some great ads and comedic bits done around the way that accent works. And
how come you don't have
the morning here? Because I left when I was 3.
Oh. Is it in your head, though? Like, do you kind of every once in a while say?
No, not really.
No, nothing.
That making thousands of hours of the podcast, which has just beaten any character out of my voice entirely.
When you said podcast, there was a little Canadian in there, just a bit, just a boot.
Is it data or data?
I say data, I guess.
Yeah,
because that was the name of the character on Star Trek.
The Star Trek character, yeah.
But it's data. I had a good conversation with Jeff Atwood, who pointed out that William Shatner pronounced sabotage, or sabotage.
Completely unacceptable.
And apparently that's because he's Quebecois. And so that's how they say it in Quebec. And there's even a clip of him in a recording session for a Star Trek video game saying sabotage. And the producer says, no, can you say sabotage? And he says, no, I say sabotage.
Sabotage. That's how that's going to go.
It's like Steve Jobs saying Jaguar.
Yeah, why? Yeah, no, I never figured that one out. Sabotage.
I don't know. Yeah, who talks like that?
I decided, though, after that I'm going to say it that way from now on, so you'll now know if I do that.
It's good enough for Bill. It's good enough for you.
Yeah, Mr. Shatner knows how to speak English.
Oh.
Even if it's Franglish. Wow, Patch Tuesday yesterday brought us a load of refreshing patches.
I can at least...
I like that you think that.
2 reboot sessions.
Well, tell me all about it, guys. What's the deal? What's the dealio?
So, I mean, if you watch the show, listen to the show, you've been paying attention for the past couple of months, there's really not a lot to say because we are now, April? So 4th month of the year, not a lot going on every month from new feature perspective. Plus, we've already discussed every single one of these things. And
these were all like insider patches that just made it to the
they made their way through the system. So I think the big one to me is the smart app control thing, where you can toggle it on and off. I find myself doing that a lot actually. But if you use Visual Studio, make your own apps, that's going to happen. And then most of the rest of it's really minor. It's small improvements to Narrator, File Explorer. The desktop supports refresh rates higher than 1,000 hertz because that's happening, I guess. And some other small things. It's really not that big of a deal, but that's, for purposes of this podcast is not great news, but for people using Windows, it's fantastic news, compared to...
I'm holding out for the hot patch, man. That's what I'm excited about. Sometime next week.
Hot patch Tuesday.
Emergency hot patch.
We're going to have to add like a week C where they fix week B.
Well, I'm wondering because Microsoft did get access to that new Anthropic model, Mythos. They were one of the 50 companies that got reserved access to fix their vulnerabilities before Mythos revealed them to the world. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you're going to see a slew of resulting fixes.
I mean, if Firefox is any indication, we are. Actually, this month was, I don't remember the number. Actually, it's probably in the story. Was the second second biggest number of security fixes ever in a Patch Tuesday update.
Right.
So maybe that already started happening.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That could be it. But yeah, not much to speak of. Let me see if I can find the number.
That would, I'm interested because some people said that Mythos was, that's all marketing. They're going to have an IPO. And so if it's not all marketing, we will see from a number of companies.
Lots of security fixes, yeah.
Security fixes. Yeah. That would be the proof.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't think a lot of these companies are going to broadcast that little success, even though, maybe they should. I mean, Mozilla
but the patches will be the proof.
Yeah, but they can, there are services that will give you a good idea of the actual vulnerabilities. I mean, Microsoft is fairly transparent, but Microsoft did not come out and say, "Hey, congratulations! This was like the second worst Patch Tuesday in history." They don't really broadcast that. They should, though. I think
they put CVEs next to the security patches, or do they not?
They do.
Usually in the notes there is a reference to a CVE.
Yeah. So that would be.
But they don't really. But they don't.
The CVE would refer to the
the actual
source.
vulnerability. Yeah.
But now you get into the real question, which is, are you writing up CVEs for what Mythos finds, or do you just skip that step?
Well, some have already. In fact, we were talking yesterday on Security Now. One of the CVEs featured an Anthropic researcher, which was kind of the tell, right? That it was
interesting.
Something from.
I also think you got to rate these things, right, or weigh them, right, because it will depend on whether or not these are like critical security vulnerabilities, or which CVE is. I'm sorry, but there are other fixes in there that are just rated important, or even optional, whatever.
CVEs come in different flavors, right?
Yeah,
they're not all emergency.
There are CVEs and then there are CVEs, but there are third parties looking at this for sure, and that's where that statistic for this being the second, the way they say it, second largest monthly release in Microsoft's history. So, yeah, the speculation is, this has something to do with AI. So it's good.
We're just embracing that this is good news, that around the world in all of these major products, they're getting more secure.
Yes. And then 2 months from now, they'll just accept everything AI has to say, and they'll just put those fixes in without even looking at them. So, everything's going to be great.
Everything's fine.
Or something, I don't know. Anywho, like I said, if you've been paying attention at all, there's nothing here where you're like, wait, what? With the small exception being that, just as a reminder, they're still shipping 26H1 updates every month. Although, as we'll discuss in a bit, the first of those Snapdragon X2 laptops has finally appeared in the open. So I guess people,
Yeah, and Framework just shipped an ARM motherboard for their framework, which
cool.
means that that must be intended. I don't know. I didn't actually check.
Well, now I'm curious what that means. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little early.
That. Yeah, no, but I like it. Hopefully it's Snapdragon or whatever. But
third part. Let's see.
I feel like I would have heard about that. I don't know.
They just announced it. Here's Geerling's.
Such a tough time to be putting out new hardware with parts so expensive.
Right.
It's from maybe it's a third party. It's from Meta Computing.
Yeah, I see it too. Right. So what is this thing?
It uses CIX. I never heard of them. 6 is P1 SoC. I wonder if that's the one, or maybe this is an old.
Well, you're right.
No, that's from today.
Is this Linux only? I'd be surprised.
No, that's a good question, huh? The Qualcomm lock-in exclusive is gone. Is that right?
If it isn't, it's about to expire because NVIDIA is about to get into this game. But yeah, it doesn't say. I don't know.
I thought Framework did this. I misread the headline. So it's a third-party computing company called Meta Computing, but it is a Framework compatible MOBO.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Replacement. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, ARM
the idea
to
of an
move
ecosystem of motherboards for your laptop, that's wild.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not trivial to put it in, but it's quick enough that,
Hey, just the fact that they're doing it all is fantastic. That's good.
Do I carry a laptop bag with different motherboards in it just in case?
Wouldn't that be funny?
This feels like an Intel moment.
Hey, I used to carry, everyone our age has done this. You have a laptop and you have like some kind of slide-in bay thing. So you could have one that's like an extra HD, one that's an optical drive of whatever kind. That we all did that kind of thing. I mean,
what actually is maybe even a bigger story is the fact that third parties are making framework compatible motherboards, because that means
that's
flexibility.
Really quite a statement.
They're the Nespresso of the PC world.
Yes. Any pod will
do. Any pod in the storm.
as long as it's made by Nestle, we'll take it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm just like sitting here enjoying that for some reason. Okay. So
I made it funny.
Patch Tuesday, non-event. Last week, I think it was, we talked about Microsoft addressing probably the last 2 weeks, pain points in Windows 11. Pavan Davaluri came up with a post about some very specific things they intended to change. One of those things was fixing the Insider program, right? And so after the show last week, I think Friday probably was, they announced the changes they're going to make to the Windows Insider program. It's important to know that those changes have not occurred yet. I think the schedule is end of August timeframe. But if you're familiar with the Insider program, A, I'm sorry. B, it's super convoluted, but super high level, not completely accurate version is there's a Canary channel, which is actually split in two because there's 2 different paths you can take there. Dev, beta, both of which are currently testing 25H2 builds or build streams, build series. I'm not sure what the right term is for that. We have release preview, which can have any number of builds based on how many supported versions of Windows there are out in the world. So you could have a 24 or a 25H2 PC enrolled in release preview. And then, of course, the stable, the general release or whatever, I think it's just called general release, whatever it is, the stable version, as I think of it, which is not in the Insider program. So this is it's a little bit like
there's always been one too many since Canary showed up.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So as I went through this, I have the same little cycle of emotions that I go through every single time something like this happens, where at first I'm like, nice. Oh, wait, what? And then it's like, wait, what about, so it's like the improvements he announced a couple of weeks back. It's good news overall, but it's not quite as simple as he makes it seem in the beginning. So there are 2 channels, they're saying. They're going to be called Experimental, which is going to replace Dev and Canary. And then Beta, I think is the other one, right? Yeah, Beta, which is just Beta, but updated. And we'll talk about the differences there. But there's also still release preview, right? So like in the very beginning, it's like, oh, there's only 2 channels. You're like, yay. And it's like, there's 3. And actually there's more than 3 because, they're still going to allow people to go to
I can work with 3, right? 3 is experimental stuff that needs real testing. And this is about to go out the door unless you tell us otherwise.
Yes. Yeah. But of course, there are so many other problems with the Insider program. Like one of the things that really came to a head when Windows on ARM became a thing again with Snapdragon 2 years ago. Well, Snapdragon X, I should say, 2 years ago, was these things are like one-way dead-end roads, right? Meaning you enroll in the dev channel. And the idea is that if the thing you're testing ever ships in stable, you can check a box and you'll get out of the dev channel or the beta channel, whatever channel you're in. The problem is that never happened for any of these things. No. Right?
And to be clear, none of these should ever be dead ends. You should not need to pay the machine
100%
Insider program.
I agree. I justified this to my own brain in the past by saying, look, if you're technical enough to be in this and want to do this, you should know how to reset a computer, whatever. But look, I without knowing the fact of this, I guarantee that a lot of people who were in Insider programs said, okay, I'm done with this. I want to go back to the stable version. They reset it and they just went back to the last build they were on and whatever channel they were in. Like there are ways around that, but it looks at what's on the computer at the time, and that's what it determines what to put on there now. And that's what so you can install a USB key, et cetera, but that's a clean install and you blow everything away and it's terrible. So portability or I guess portability, for lack of a better term, between channels is important. The ability to get out at any time, I think, is important.
Yeah. Well, and the point is, like, why are you there in the first place? And what does Microsoft get from it? If it can't be a mainstream machine, if it's going to be a side machine, all kinds of tests is just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
People ignore, if your insider machine is just a mutant, mangled machine that you need to rebuild regularly.
Then what are you doing with it? I mean, that's the thing. This is the push and pull of the insider program.
Totally.
Technical people who probably have multiple computers anyway. I mean, ideally, and the advice will always be, don't put your main computer, don't put your production laptop in there or whatever. Use some secondary laptop, but you also have to use the thing to understand what's different, and then maybe you find bugs, whatever it is. And so, I think I do this, and I think a lot of people do this, like, whatever, like this computer I'm using right now is in the dev channel, for example. Like, I have to use it, So another change they're making is they're going to allow people to move between the channels now seamlessly, right? This is huge. I don't understand why it wasn't like this. If you know anything about Reset This PC, one of the things you must know or would know is that you can reset the computer, but keep everything that's like all your data and all your store apps stay there, but it wipes out the OS, installs whatever other version, and brings all that stuff back. Now, in this case, you actually still have to reinstall desktop apps, but I feel like in the mobile space, iOS, Android probably work that way as well, where the image for the OS you're using isn't, it's not all commingled on the same disk or partition or whatever, so to speak, with your data and with apps and so forth, and that you should be able to swap these things out. And, why wouldn't that just work? Registry is why, by the way, but there should be a way to do that. So we'll see what that looks like. Again, we don't have this to say quite yet, but maybe a couple of weeks from now, we'll be able to talk about that. But the other one, and this is a big one, and this is something I really, 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 really want to see in stable.
Tell me what you want.
What you really, really, is the ability to get all the features they announce immediately, right? Depending on the channel, I think in the experimental channel, they're going to have feature flags. We can just check boxes like you do in a browser to turn those things on. If you're in the beta, those new features are just a beta channel. Those new features are just going to appear immediately. And that's yes, because controlled feature rollout, which is not just a terrible name because it doesn't accurately describe what's happening, is just terrible technology. It's awful. And, I'm here. That's what I'm here to test. That's why I put the PC in the thing. Like, can I test the thing you told me I was going to get, So we've had little goofy workarounds, Raphael and some other people have that Vive tool that can enable flags, actually is what they are called internally. But you have to, find that information out, figure out the exact command line to make it work, reboot, et cetera, and it doesn't always, and there are some features you just can't enable that way regardless. You're going to have to wait. And so they are changing that for the Insider program, thank God. And I would love to see this in stable, even if it was some advanced, they could put it in a developer interface somewhere, whatever it is, make it hard to do. I don't care. Let me do this, and it's not just me. I write books and I write articles about this stuff. Like I need to, I want to see these new features as quickly as possible, obviously, but especially in the Insider program. And I think given that we have sort of a pseudo Insider program just built into Windows, which is I want to get updates as quickly as possible, and that includes even preview updates, there is an audience of people who actually want to see things as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. They should let them see those things as quickly as possible.
That being said, sometimes when you're developing a feature, there's more than one approach to it, and you can't figure out which one. Like what you were describing with this clear pipeline is you're sure of what your feature should be. And so you mature it in that experimental phase and then debug it in the beta phase and then refine it in the release phase. But sometimes you've got to just put two different versions of a feature out into the world and see how people use them to really understand which one's better.
Yeah. Formally, and by formally, I mean formally, not formerly, although it is also formerly in the Insider program, they used to do that kind of thing. I don't think they ever used the term A/B testing per se, but it was A/B testing, right? Some people would get one implementation of something, some would get the other. They would get the feedback, and then inside of Microsoft, they would be like, all right, this one seems to be working good, this one doesn't, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, in the Insider program, that makes sense. But by the time you've shipped it in a stable release for Windows 11 through Windows Update. I mean, again, I'm not saying they have to enable all the features immediately, although that's the way I would do it. But at least give those people who are power users or whatever the ability to find a UI, check a box, and say, yeah, I get it. There might be problems. It's okay.
Yeah. The issue here is that the insiders are a filtered set. Anybody who'd sign up for that insider program is a particular type of person. And so if you really want to test on the customers, you got to go outside that channel, which would be the argument is if you're going to do this kind of testing, you stay away from the insider program.
I feel like there's a cause and effect thing here that, one of the reasons the insider program exists is that when Windows 10 was occurring, they wanted to be more transparent than the previous Windows team and develop this thing in the open and get feedback and have that feedback improve the product. And that's one thing. But there's also the testing angle, which is like we have this formal program now where potentially, and there were literally millions and millions of people enrolling computers in this thing and testing features and providing feedback. And that's a pretty good base, but even still, back whether it was 1998 or 2008 or 2018 or whatever year, you put that thing out in the real world and then new problems crop up because it's just the nature of the beast.
And also it's a different interaction. Sanofsky did this to a group of us ages ago. I'll tell you how long ago. It's in the IE9 timeframe.
Yeah.
So there's maybe 100 of us in the room, and he literally says, "How many of you use bookmarks?"
Right.
In your browser.
This is a classic.
100% of the room puts their hands up. And he goes, according to the Watson telemetry, it's less than 1%. It's just that all of you are in this room right now.
That's right. And so, yes. And by the way, there's that skewing as well. This is why. No, I mean, this is we need to move the taskbar to other sides of the screen thing. It's like the reason that is not there today is because it's not less than 1%. I don't know what the number is, but it's some tiny percentage of people are using it.
It may well be. Just because I'm
complex. Yeah, right. But by and large, the people that would enable that are not going to be people like my wife or my brother or some normal human being. It's going to be technical people who have very specific opinions, and they can skew product design if Microsoft or whatever companies blindly listens to them, right? Which is why
Sadowski's point was, I'm not going to put any dev into bookmarks. The bookmark engine that was in IE8 is the same one that was in IE9. That was his response. It's like, I'm not going to improve this because it doesn't apply to the majority of users.
Yeah, but eventually you reach the point where the number of users is so small, you actually get rid of a feature, right? So he made a similar comment. He wrote this in a blog post, and I think he said it publicly on stage somewhere. But, when it came to Media Center was its standalone edition. It was pulled into mainstream Windows versions, and then they got rid of it, probably, I guess, in Windows 8. And he said, look, not only does nobody use this thing, but most of the launches of the app are either by mistake or something that comes up and people close it within 2 seconds. So, even the people that were launching the app weren't using it. Now, of course, the audience he said this to, every one of them used Media Center. And they were like, wait, what are you doing? And that's it's a weird gray area, but I think these things like explain or partially explain why you could, as a normal user, you wouldn't be too normal of a user, but you could go into Windows Update and say, I want to get these updates as soon as possible. Just install them, and that gives them more reach for that stuff. And then it gives them a couple of weeks to fix it if there's something they see as a problem out in the world for a lot of people, right? But that's what the insider program is for. It's like it's kind of a weird. I don't know. One thing we've talked about a lot on this show is this notion that in today's system we have Canary down to dev, down to beta, down to release preview, and then out to stable. Is they never follow that path for new features, and I'm hoping now that we won't. I mean, the truth is we won't. But if you think about experimental and beta as the two top level main channels, so to speak, I think we're going to see new features debut in both of those channels. There'll be experimental features that may do some A/B whatever that never make their way to beta and then out to stable. But I think there's also going to be new features like there are today that debut in beta, and it might literally because it's not so much that it's experimental literally, but sort of, right? That we know, look, this is going into Windows, barring a catastrophe, like this is not something we're not sure about. Like we think this is going into Windows. And so I'm going to try to mentally be okay with that because the way my brain works is I want it to follow that logical path, but I feel like they're going to use both. So, we'll see. I wish we could test this today. I'm really curious about this. And if you watch Hands on Windows, I'll definitely do an episode about this as soon as I can. I can't wait to look at this. And we'll see, so it's good. I'm waiting for the next set of builds through the Insider program to start giving us some of the changes they, previewed a couple of weeks ago.
That's how it's supposed to work, right?
Yeah, supposed to. Yeah, it's supposed to and does are two different things, especially in the Microsoft space.
Good. If it does that.
It is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
give it to the insiders first, make sure it's all working smoothly.
It makes sense to me, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's good.
Anywho, you want to take a little teeny weeny and
I'm not sure how to answer that one.
I shouldn't have said it that way.
Yes.
Just a little teeny weeny, and then we will be back with more Windows Weekly in just a little bit. But I want to tell you about our sponsor for this hour of the show. How about that? Actually, it's really fun. It's a good sponsor because, they're all good. God knows, right?
It's one of the good ones.
It's one of the good ones. No, but I'm thinking of it. It's on my mind because we just did it today. Cyberhoot. It's a little owl named Cyberhoot. It's security training. And I was sitting next to Lisa this morning at over breakfast, and she said, I think I got one. I said, what? She said, I think I got a suspicious email. Traditional security awareness training does one thing very well. It makes employees feel bad and disengage. You've seen it. Someone clicks a fake phishing link, gets a shame lecture, watches a boring video, learns almost nothing. Cyberhoot was built by people who saw that cycle repeat over and over for decades and decided to fix it from the ground up with a single goal, a single question in mind. What if you trained people the way great coaches train athletes with encouragement, positive encouragement, with repetition and with rewards for doing the right things? Lisa she said, I got one. So and I think she was excited because she spotted it. It then said, well, what do you think's wrong with you click a button and said, what do you think's wrong with this? The first thing it said was, hi, Lisa. She said, no, that's fine. But then the second part was, hey, your password needs to be updated. Click this link. And she said, And then it was fun. She got a little owl, a really cute little owl, so she can put that on her Slack identity or whatever, share her success. We did a little training together. It was fun. Cyberhoot is a security awareness training program for businesses of all sizes, even our little business, government entities, for schools, professional services firms, anything, really, any company that wants their people to actually get smarter about cybersecurity and not just, click the compliance box. Most phishing training teaches people to spot a phishing email after it lands, okay? But then Cyberhoot's Hootfish goes even farther. It teaches people how phishing actually works. And it was really, I kind of knew this stuff because we cover it all the time on Security Now and stuff, but it was fun to watch Lisa learn. She said, script kiddies. I said, yeah. When you understand how an attacker constructs a phishing email, what makes it convincing, and what psychological triggers it exploits, you stop being a passive target. And that was the whole thing that was really cool about this. It engaged her and got her to learn. Hootfish uses typo squatted domains, so they're very deceiving, and convincing vendor impersonations, the exact tricks the real bad guys use. Spotting an obviously fake email teaches nobody anything. You got to take the next step. I'll give you an example. One healthcare provider hit 95% training compliance with Cyberhoot and cut phishing-related help tickets by 40% because people are empowered. They say, yeah, I know what this is. People know that most breaches, I think by now, most breaches start with a human being clicking something they shouldn't have. It's in the air. We know that. And you've probably had conversations with coworkers and frustrated IT teams about this. CyberHoot is the answer to that conversation. It's what you recommend to the business owner, the IT leader, or the enterprise security team that wants to build a real security culture at scale without wasting a six-figure training budget on programs that just don't change behavior. If your organization is ready to stop punishing people for being human and start actually building cyber smart employees, head to cyberhoot.com/Windows. Use the code Windows at checkout. You'll get 20% off your first year. That's cyberhoot.com/Windows. Promo code Windows for 20% off your first year. Just remember to always laugh, learn, and hoot up. I love the little owl. It's CyberHoot, as in, hoot. The owl hoots. cyberhoot.com/Windows. It's a really, I won't show you the owl because I don't want somebody to screenshot it and use it as if they had passed the test. I want you to earn your hoot. cyberhoot.com/Windows. We thank them so much for their support of Windows Weekly.
I just commented to my wife this morning based on the email I was seeing that email is quickly turning into what text and phone calls already are, which is just completely worthless.
Nonstop. It's just nonstop now.
Yep.
Yeah. And we get, and I'm, as a business owner, I'm very nervous because we get emails to accounting all the time.
Yep.
With fake bills. And, we have an independent bookkeeper, independent accountant. I can easily see them saying, I must have missed, that conversation, and just saying, well, let me pay it. I could just see that happening. So that training.
It's really a big topic on RunAs Radio. Is like most companies I know now will not do any business transactions via email.
Yeah. Email is just spoiled.
It's crazy how
they build
far
web workflows and things to control that.
Yeah, it's spoiled. It's really a shame. Yeah. All right.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I have a new email newsletter I wanted to promote. No, I'm kidding.
How is that? You did move to your newsletter. How's it going? Is it going well?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't do it that often. I don't do it every week, but every 2 weeks or so. It's
Nice.
fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. There are people who want to get stuff that way, which I think is why people are attacking email. But it's fine.
I think you got to spend some time setting filters up and stuff like that to really use email at all these days. There you have it.
The Microsoft ones aren't working.
No.
There's a guy on my site who complains about Outlook, not quite every day, but pretty close. And today I was like, you're not truly going to be set free until you walk away from Outlook, man. You gotta just let it go. Just say goodbye. It's fine.
Well, Microsoft got rid of Outlook Lite. I guess that's a start.
Yeah. We still have the more problematic versions. Yes. I wish they could have kept that one and got rid of the rest, and we would have been all right. Okay, so Insider Program, I mentioned they were changing things. Last Friday, they also released new Insider builds, or maybe it was early this week, but which are still in the old system, right? So we haven't moved over yet. Canary, like I mentioned, is on 2 different build sequences or series, depending on whether or not you've opted into the second of those 2. But if you're on the normal Canary build, which again, this is why it's so complex.
The fact that you said normal Canary build is what concerns me. There should only be one Canary.
I don't know. Like, we don't have words for this. It's like if you're on Canary A, you got some features we've already had elsewhere in the Insider Program for a long time, so no big deal. If you're in Canary B, the one with the optional build series with the high build number, basically all the same things as the other Canary, but with some underlying platform changes, which I think speak to 26H2. They're not saying this, but I think that's where this is heading.
But Canary's just basically been hijacked by ARM, right? Like
for now, yeah. They haven't been
able to integrate ARM into the main pipeline.
Yep. Well, and one of the oddities is right now, if you wanted to, you could sign into the Canary build sequence or channel and install that on an x64 computer, right? Which is what most people are doing, right? Most people don't have a Snapdragon computer, so.
Right.
I don't know. Dev and beta, 2 different KBs, but same features. And this is kind of interesting. There's some minor Windows security stuff, meaning the secure boot certificate status thing I was talking about, the green checkbox, right? That's in there. New feedback hub. Okay, that's cool. This is crazy, but the bubble screensaver has been updated. So if you have a high refresh rate display, that will display normally. I guess it was going too fast before or too slow. I don't remember which one it was. But whatever. The big two, actually, there's two, are related to storage. One is that they've made some small improvements to the UI of storage settings inside of the settings app, but actually have dramatically fixed how that works. So it's kind of cool. Like they've made some low-level changes there. They're nice. And only from the command line. You can't do this from the UI, but you can now format a FAT32 disk up to 2 terabytes in size. And I think the previous limit was 512 gigabyte, I think. So there you go. That's a modern size,
While also saying stop using FAT32.
Yeah. I definitely stopped using FAT32, but I suppose, even like exFAT would be kind of the better interoperability, format to use. But I don't know, FAT30. This stuff, the FAT file system literally goes back 40 years.
Yeah, like it's ancient. Like, why are we talking about it at all? Like, holy man.
People like it. I don't know. People like familiarity. It's kind of hard to say. It's curious to me, but I don't know. Like I was babbling about this before the show. I've been using different Linux distributions and stuff. Linux has no problem writing to any of these formats. Like it can handle NTFS and whatever. It's fine. Like, I don't really see the big deal here, but whatever. It's okay.
Yeah, there's really no justification for it.
Well, if you're still running Windows 98 SE and, you have a 2 terabyte hard drive somehow, I have no idea. I have no idea. This kind of came out of the blue for me, but part of the reason was because I'm in Mexico and whatever. But the first Snapdragon X2 PC has appeared, and very quietly, without any announcement.
Sitting on a doorstep in Pennsylvania?
Yep, it's sitting there. Yep. Well, it's actually inside my house now. Something my neighbor brought it in. But I can't see it till mid-May. I'm going to be here for a little while. But it is.
I don't know where your priorities are, brother.
I can fly out. Let me go get it.
Yeah.
I literally
I'm closer than either of you guys.
I said, this has been so the first day I didn't know what it was. Someone delivered something or tried to deliver something, but I needed a signature and it wasn't picked up. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, hey, our neighbor does this, can make sure she's around, blah, 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 whatever. And then, but this is what it was. And I was
Doesn't
like, listen.
ASUS send you a note saying here it's coming or something? Or
eventually. But there
must be. So,
I think it was supposed to be like, I know.
People think, oh, that must be so great where these laptops appear at your door unbidden.
Yeah, it is great when you're sitting here at a desk like I am and I can see the door. But the problem is the door is like 2,300 miles away and it's in a different country.
I learned how ungreat it was when I visited John C. Dvorak many years ago.
Yeah.
And as I'm coming, first time I'd ever gone to his house, and then coming up the step, there's a pile of boxes.
Yep.
Because he got everything sent to him because he was very powerful at the time writing for PC Magazine.
Of course, yeah.
And it was all new stuff. And then I go in his living room and there's I'm not kidding, a 3-foot high pile of stuff.
Yeah, you can be able to afford out of this stuff. I know. So
and then
the management of this is the problem.
And then he says, I said, I'm going to go get a modem after this. He said, oh, no. And he said, come with me.
He's like, come into my modem room.
He rented a space over a gas station. So we went down the block. Jeez. You can't, it's like Fibber McGee's closet. You can't get in there. You have to hold the door, hold the stuff back. And he said, I think this is a Hayes Courier 26.6. Here, have it. And it was like, so exactly. In fact, I learned from that and subsequent experience that I just tell people, I don't want it. Don't send it to me. I don't want it.
So,
and I say, if you send it to me, you have to send it with a return box and a return.
Yeah. So So Lenovo does this. We'll see what the Asus thing looks like, but the HP does this. But companies do that, right? But going back and forth to Mexico. I mean, how privileged and wonderful is my life? But we had problems last year, not this year, but last year. Some stuff didn't arrive here for some reason. There was some kind of custom something. It doesn't really matter, but. HP was getting a little leery about sending stuff. Lenovo was like, yeah, we'll try it again. Who cares? And so this year it's been fine. But one of the things I did last year was I had machines delivered here, like I think 3 of them, that I carried home on the plane and shipped home from home. So the original boxes are here. So I said, it's no problem. I'll just go down to, I think it's FedEx in this case, and I'll drop it off at FedEx, the empty boxes, and they'll ship them from here. And if they don't get there, who cares? They're empty boxes. So I went down to FedEx with those boxes, and they pulled, there's this thing, there's a plastic sheath with the paper in it that has the stuff for shipping. But when you ship internationally, there's all these additional pages. And the guy's rifling through the first one, and he goes, he looks at it, and he picks up the box, and he shakes it, and he goes, "What's in this thing?" And I said, "Nothing. It's an empty box." He goes, "Really? Because this says it's a $3,000 computer, and we're not shipping an empty box if you tell us it's a $3,000 computer." And I'm like, "Well, then you're not going to ship any of these. They're all empty boxes." And I had to, I just carried them back home like a jerk, and they're still upstairs. So like, there's that, there's like that problem. Like, it's kind of a weird thing, but, anyway, whatever. These are my problems. Who cares? So this thing is, like I said, came out of nowhere. I thought we were going to get some kind of a announcement, from Qualcomm or, whatever, Microsoft, whatever it is, and nothing. There's been still to this day, nothing. Mobile World Congress came and went. I thought, surely this is the time. Okay, no, okay. There's going to be something. But there wasn't. So Asus announced this thing. It's a 16-inch, ZenBook A16 is the name of it. Beautiful, looks gorgeous. I wish I could see it. It's a 3K display OLED. The beautiful keyboard float in the middle. Blah blah blah. Whatever. 48 gigs of RAM, which is kind of a curious amount. 2 terabytes of storage, et cetera, et cetera. 2.7 pounds, which is awesome for incredible actually for a 16-inch laptop. Lots of good ports, all that stuff. They're talking 21 hours of battery life. It's probably 12 something, but whatever.
Still,
can't wait. Can't wait to use this thing, but I have to wait. The good news is I just got a shipment notification from Lenovo today. So I have 2 other X2 based laptops coming here. So I won't have to wait till I get home. So hopefully soon those will arrive, and then we can see what's going on here. But
how exciting.
It's exciting. I'm really looking forward to these computers. And they're arriving at a great time with all the memory stuff. So it's going to be good. So IDC in the past week has come up with 2 reports about Q1 so far. They'll probably do one for tablets too, but we've got PC sales and smartphone sales. PC sales we're actually up 2.5% year over year, which is a little surprising, except their belief is that this is people buying ahead of even more component price rises, and that this is going to fall through the floor. Yeah,
people are aware of it.
The second half of this year is going to be a bloodbath.
Yep.
So, okay. I mean, I don't know what do more with less is going to look like in the PC space. I think it's really going to work out to sell less, because it costs more. I think that's going to be the
extended warranties, right? Like that's what they're doing, and that's going to put more pressure on the vendors, because often when these machines break and need to be warranted, they have to be replaced.
Yep.
Nobody repairs anything anymore.
Right. Now, more recent computers are more repairable than they've been in a long, long time. Yeah. And so that's kind of a nice trend. But yes, it's fair to say there's probably a lot of computers out in the world that are not repairable in any way or only in minor ways. But we'll see. Part of that Microsoft promise to fix the pain points in Windows is lowering resource usage, which you could kind of view in terms of the full screen experience, or the Xbox mode, as we're going to call it now, where you have a little gaming device, handheld gaming thing, and it's, you don't want other stuff running when you're playing games, but this is going to benefit everyone now, especially in a world where probably most mainstream computers out in the world have 8 gigabytes of RAM, probably, maybe 16 is getting there, but that's going to slow now because of all the costs, and we'll see what happens. But kind of a nightmare.
Nobody has 48. Why do you get 48?
I know 48 is it's a bizarre number. I don't know. I don't know. This one is, so remember with the X2, there's multiple versions of the chip like they did last time. So there's a Plus with whatever number of cores. There's the Elite like they had last time. But there's also this Elite Extreme, right? Because, whatever. Sunday, whatever it is. But the difference between
everything on this chip works, so it's extreme.
It's extreme. Yep. It's like, It's like when you eat cereal and the color doesn't exist in nature, and you're like, is this going to dye my insides green or something? Like, what is this? The difference there is that they build the RAM onto the die, right? And that speeds up. So that's how they get it faster. It's not that the chip's faster, although probably is a little bit faster, but the big thing there is the RAM. And so 48, I don't know. I don't know. Theoretically, I remember Qualcomm saying back last September, there is no, well, there's some limit, but there's no real limit. I mean, no realistic limit on what you could do RAM wise, but I'm sure at that time they were like, we're going to see 32 gigs, whatever, 64 maybe, but I guess 48 is the happy middle ground.
Presuming they're binning, that was etched as a 64, and one of the banks is bad, so now
nice.
It's a
okay. I like to, it's like buying a car with one flat. You like the rest of it's fine.
Right. You didn't need all those wheels. Come on.
Yeah, right. Come on, you get two arms. What are you doing? The smartphone thing, though, is interesting because the same rationale, same problems. We all know the issues. We get this war in Iran for some reason. We've got the component prices. Everything's going south. But the sales of smartphones have actually fallen year over year, and they're predicting much more dramatic shortfalls for the remainder of the year. And they actually said in this case that the problems that the smartphone industry is facing right now are worse than those that were experienced during COVID-19. Yep. And come on, we came out of that pandemic. I think if you were of a negative mindset, I think the thing that would be going through your brain, because it was going through mine, was like, okay, when's this going to happen again? This event that has never happened in my lifetime and feels like ancient history is now happening. And of course, once it happens, you're like, all right, well, I guess this is the new normal. When's the next pandemic? And the next pandemic was a component shortage. So, whatever. Crazy. Just like Snapdragon X2, one other thing we've been waiting for all this whole year is Nvidia to enter the PC market with its own chipsets, right? They have this partnership with MediaTek. They have a separate partnership with Intel, but I think the fruits of that, so to speak, are happening later in our x64 base. But the chips that they're working on for PCs, which would be like Snapdragon chips, are ARM-based, right? Of course, but they'll have their NVIDIA GPU stuff going on. We still don't know when that's happening. Could be. We'll see what happens. I saw the hint of maybe we'll get an announcement soon on this. But there was a rumor from a publication called Semi-Accurate that NVIDIA has been trying to buy. We've got a trust
a publication named Semi-Accurate.
Actually, they're pretty good. They come up from time to time. It's a pretty good name. I like truth in advertising. They're trying to acquire one of the leading PC makers, right? Which can only mean Dell or HP, right? Lenovo's not selling all their PC. They have an incredible range of, ThinkPad, IdeaPad, whatever. I don't think they're going anywhere. That's their primary business right now. But the next two down are HP and Dell. And
I saw that. Remember, why would NVIDIA want to buy a PC maker?
Diversification.
Right. So diversification. But I asked the same question about Snapdragon with with Qualcomm with Snapdragon, which is like, look, you sell billions of chips every year to mobile device makers, and now you want to sell tens of millions of something to PC makers. I mean, what's the upside here, right? Now, for users, the upside is humongous. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like why? Like Nvidia, the biggest company in the world, wants to get into the lowest margin, lowest volume personal computing device market. I cannot explain. But if you look at,
you got this much money and it's all based on one product, you should get some other products under your belt.
Right. And of course, NVIDIA came up out of the graphics market, graphics card market for PCs. That was their whole thing. And still is. I mean, and I will say to this day, I mean, this laptop I'm using right now, I've got another one out there with NVIDIA dedicated graphics, is absolutely the best experience if you're a gamer. There's no doubt about it. Like, it is awesome. And it's true on Linux too, for whatever that's worth. It's definitely the best experience. So I suppose to move the PC forward, which again, why would they care? You could have ARM-based chips with NVIDIA graphics, and then suddenly you get this thing that is going to be appropriate in markets where today Snapdragon is kind of on the border, right? Engineering workstation type stuff, but also gaming PCs. And if anyone can make that happen, it's actually NVIDIA. So from my perspective on the outside, it's like, please do this, please do this, please do this. But I don't know how they would do this. So HP, their primary market is PCs. They also sell printers. It's not exactly, but we'll call it 2/3 of the revenues from PCs, 1/3 from printers. Printers are going nowhere. I can't imagine Nvidia cares about printers. I suppose they could split that up again. HP is like Legos at this point. They've been split up a couple times, but maybe. The Dell one is interesting to me because Dell's biggest thing right now is cloud-based or data center-based AI chipsets, right? And servers, sorry, not chipsets. This is their big growth thing. And we're also at a time where AMD explicitly stated that they intend to be in that space too. And they are in that space, but I mean, they want to be a leader in that space, meaning they'd have to take on Nvidia to a degree that they have not yet. But they're obviously doing great with PCs. To me right now, x64 space, I would say they make the best chips. But why would these guys... Why would they? I can't say, but I could picture Dell saying that it's time, spin that thing out like IBM did a million years ago with ThinkPad, Think Center, whatever they had, the Think line of computers, right? They sold it to Lenovo. And then they move on, they go on and be this thing that is completely different than Michael Dell selling computers out of his dorm room in college, right? But you can see how that kind of escalates and gets to that point. And like that could make sense.
The Dell plays a double win for them, right? There's more data center activity. All of that's good. But they've also been trying to build their own PC and failing. So buying a PC team is a good way to sort of straighten out the ship on that. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. It's just a rumor. I don't know if this is happening. There are other PC makers that I think would be interesting. The most obvious one maybe is Asus, the company that makes that laptop I was just talking about. The problem with Asus is they don't really have the same kind of distribution and visibility that Lenovo, HP, Dell have, right? Those companies have huge infrastructures for building and shipping and supporting computers. Asus is a much smaller company. But you know what other one might be interesting, by the way? What about Microsoft's Surface?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Peel that business off.
Yep. We're going to talk about them in a bit, actually probably next, I guess. But Surface has never been profitable. Surface has never risen to the ranks where they show up in any market share chart of any kind. They're bundled in with a bunch of other small companies and so even though it's made by Microsoft, which is one of the biggest and most powerful companies in the world, Surface as a line. Kevin, stop making Surface jokes, goddammit.
Where is he making Surface jokes? I feel left out.
That's the second one today. Don't think I didn't notice.
He's a punster. He likes anything that can give him an opportunity to pun.
I laughed. It's okay. I feel lost my train of thought. But it's just never been successful as a business, right? And maybe Nvidia is the shot in the arm that this thing needs. I would like to see it survive, frankly. I love Surface computers. I mean, my Surface laptop, the one I have now, is still my favorite laptop right now, which is why I didn't bring it here to Mexico, because I hate myself and I miss it every day. And I wish I had it here, but the problem is I have so many, I get to review computers and whatever, but, we'll see. I don't, one of these companies, I think, denied that any talks had occurred, but I will say that like shares of Dell and HP both jumped by double digits when this report went out. It's like interesting. And if, these are publicly held companies, so they have shareholders and investors, and you could picture someone saying, hey, Dell would be the more obvious of the two, unless they spun off the printer thing and just sold the HP PC business, I suppose. But that's really interesing. This is never going to make up any shortfall that NVIDIA may face in the future when the AI stuff has, dropped
but it might make their landing a little more interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Sooner or later, this, and arguably it's already underway. All of the AI-centric companies are off by, significant numbers. And if it goes down this gracefully the rest of the year, that would be awesome. It just seems it's sooner or later investors will panic and it'll drop like a stone. Yeah.
We're seeing signs that there's some infrastructure, like NVIDIA has not suffered in any way yet.
No.
Even Amazon, we'll talk about later. I mean, when you think about the companies on the back end supplying the infrastructure, literally
the shovels, yeah,
I think those guys are going to be okay. It's the people, the companies trying to sell AI to customers.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
But by that token, while you've got a stock price that high as Nvidia, you do a stock swap to buy groups of businesses you want after the crazy is over.
Yes, and this is it's you're so far above what would have been your kind of traditional value that this doesn't cost anything. No. It's my only issue though is I know from so many years of doing this that PCs are really low margin. I even thought, you could imagine something like, okay, 2/3 or more of Dell's PCs sold every quarter, every year, whatever, are to businesses. Dell owns, I believe it's Alienware. Maybe sell off that part of the business and get out of the consumer part, right? And sell, because the Alienware stuff, they're going to want to use Nvidia GPUs anyway. There's a little more of a mesh there. But the problem is that's one of the few parts of the PC market where their margins are actually acceptable, right? You don't get rid of the part of the business that's actually delivering the profits that keeps the whole thing afloat. So I don't see that happening, but that's a thought. The more I do think about it, I mean, I feel like Surface might be an awesome choice.
Yeah. And I could see Satya wanted to unload it too.
Yep. I'm surprised he hasn't already. I'm sure there are many things that go into this that I'm just not privy to, but it is somewhat surprising to me that this is and Mary Jo and I still have this conversation sometimes. I'll say something like, I'll text her or she'll text me and it'll be like, hey, did you see this thing? And either one of us will say, oh, did they kill Surface? It's like, no. Yeah.
But Surface has been in serious jeopardy since Panos was gone. That was Panos.
Yeah, and it was in jeopardy before then, right? I mean, the reason he left was because they cut, the budget, and we can't have this many models. This doesn't make sense. It's not working out. I really don't think this is anyone's fault per se. They've tried so many different strategies to make this work, and the computers are mostly very good.
I'm working from one right now, but would happily trade it in for that Asus machine you're talking about. I think.
Yeah. Yep. Well, wait a week because there might be an Nvidia GPU version too, which is like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we mentioned Surface, I suppose.
Yeah.
We should move on to that bad news. For anyone who sees the show notes, so like Leo or Richard or anyone in the Discord who sees this early, when you see there's a top level heading for Surface, it's going to be bad news. I'm just going to throw that out.
Otherwise, you're not going to talk about it.
There's not a lot of like, they announced new computers. I mean, it happens, but I mean, So two bits of bad news, unfortunately, for Surface. One is that Microsoft has been forced to dramatically raise the price of all their computers because of this component crisis, right? And depending on the model, $300 more per model, more in some cases. The Surface, let me see if I can find it in here. This one's not too bad actually, but this a 15-inch Surface laptop, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 of storage, which is I upgraded mine, but no, it's not enough. But I think mine was, it might have been 20. No, it's 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of storage. It was close to $2,000. I don't remember the exact price, but the original price on this since launch almost 2 years ago was $14.99. That one is now $15.99. So it's only $100. That's not too bad. Yeah. But like a Surface Pro 12-inch, and this is the newer version, 16 gig 256 went from $800 to $1050. So $250 more. And so it depends on the model. This is bad timing. Obviously, Apple just came out with this little MacBook Neo that everyone's all goo-goo-guying over. It only has 8 gigs of RAM, whatever. But things like $600, these are not necessarily in the same class. I mean, I get that, but I don't know. It's a tough bit of timing. It's not Microsoft's fault. And, to my point earlier, remember, Microsoft humongous, but Surface tiny. So Apple can wield some amount of economic power when they walk around to get deals for components and stuff. And even they're having problems, right? We saw that they've certain high-end configurations are not available from them either. But they have a lot more say in their future than Microsoft does in this space because, they sell so many more devices. So these companies obviously want to do business with Apple and, Microsoft in the PC space. It's like, I'm sorry, you sold 17 of these things last year? I mean, it just doesn't register. The other one, this won't impact too many people, but according to Zach over at Windows Central, Microsoft has stopped manufacturing the Surface Sub 3. This is 2 screen sizes, right? 50 and 85 inch.
These are corporate devices.
Yeah. And they
were a huge hit. Like Microsoft screwed this market up.
The pandemic happened, right? I mean, part of the problem here was before when they started doing Surface Hub and they went through, 3 generations, whatever, or they were about to do 3, I think, when the pandemic happened.
Well, they found out they came up with this beautiful device, even from the very first generation, of this walk-up screen that replaced your projector and stuff in a meeting room.
Right.
And you could interact
whiteboard
with it
and everything else.
Yes.
Yep.
And then it was a hit, and everybody wanted one, and they couldn't manufacture them. They built this thing and never figured out how to make it.
Everyone did want one. Like my company tried to buy 2 of them, one for me, one for Brad, so we could use them for the podcast, and we couldn't get them. No. There was a real supply problem there. But then the pandemic happened.
The 3 versions are because they tried to find one they could actually finally make. But at that point now, there's 5 competitors to the thing. The Logitech Viewport does everything they can do and more, and you don't have to use flipping Teams.
I don't think they sell this anymore, but Google offered something called a Jamboard, which was like a cobbled together $300
they killed
thing.
it also. Yeah.
I don't think it took
it a
off.
long time ago.
But the idea was solid at the time because at that time people would meet together in a room and have a meeting, and so you'd all be there. And there was no user associated with it. You could walk up and you could sign in yourself. It could do Windows Hello and everything, and you could sign into your stuff and show your stuff. And people could come in remotely because you would have 1 or 2 people maybe from outside the office, and they could be on screen, and it made sense. But then everyone went home. And it was like, now we get this 84 or 85 inch whatever, this custom computer.
Nobody wants it in their home. It's too big.
No. So
I wanted one in my home, but I
knew it. I was thinking that when you said it, but yes. So in the beginning it was custom OS. Eventually they allowed you just to install Windows 10 on it. Remember, they tried to recover after the pandemic. I will say the last 2 gens, as opposed to the first 2, where they did the screen, we could get the smaller screen, but put it in portrait mode and have 3 of them side by side if you wanted, and just really beautiful machines.
Yeah. But again, this is very much Microsoft has a tough time making a product. They come up with ideas.
That's right.
Right. That demo phenomenally. But when you actually have to make it at scale and create an ecosystem and so forth, it just struggled. So and the funny part is there's parts of the company that are very good at that. And this was not one of them.
Yeah. I think, tell me if I mentioned this already, and if I did, I apologize. But I just watched a Ray Ozzie interview on the Computer History Museum channel, which is awesome. The channel, because they interview all industry luminaries. They're always like 2-3 hours long. They're excellent. And this interview was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And he was, of course, he went to Microsoft when they bought Groove. He brought over Groove, but he became chief software architect after Bill Gates stepped down from that role. He is the reason that Azure exists, right? I mean, he was like, we got to do cloud computing. We're doing this, And anyway, his whole thing was, there were 3 things in there. And the only one I can remember right now was he was talking about the end-to-end encryption that he had in Notes and then eventually in Groove as well. And how he did this 3 times. He said, today we would call this, and the thing he called that was BitChain or Bitcoin. What's the technology behind Bitcoin? Blockchain. And I was like, this is the history of Microsoft in a nutshell. I think there was, in the same way that I wrote a book called Windows Everywhere, that's about all of the programming things that occurred, behind the scenes that were either Microsoft taking initiative or reacting to other forces in the industry, and that guided the development of Windows. I think there's an incredible series of stories to be told about all the times that someone at Microsoft or whatever, however you want to say it, invented something, came to market first in some cases, failed mightily, but this thing was later proven to be the right approach. It's just that they're not good at that part of it. It's the productization problem. And you got to
stay in it long enough to actually get the marketplace.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating.
Apple also made the Newton. right? Like,
yeah. I by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Microsoft's not unique in this space. I don't mean that they're unique. I'm not even positive they're the worst or best example of this, but it's just that, this is the space we're in. And any one of us, Richard, I know right now, I'm sure is in his brain is like, yep, I could probably come up with 20 examples of this. Like it is rather fascinating. Yeah. And, Surface Hub it was a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it ultimately is delivered, because now the Ciscos and Meraki's and Logitech's of the world deliver that product at a very tight margin, just the sort of space that Microsoft shouldn't be in anyway.
Yeah, and
they
right.
pioneered a product.
Yeah, Microsoft and Apple today share a problem, which is that it's 10 years ago, we would have said, look, Microsoft's not going to greenlight anything unless you can prove it's going to be $1 billion business. The number is much higher today. Line. It's way worse than that now. Yeah. And that becomes a problem, because there are fun little things, little to them, right, that could be successful. This is one of the conversations you might have around Xbox. Like, would this thing be better as a standalone business, where whatever the margins are, however that works, makes sense for that company, where maybe it doesn't make sense for Microsoft, where if you can't make this thing work at their scale, they just lose interest in it, Yeah. So it's interesting. Anyway, it's too bad, but Surface Hub was great. I also think they evolved it in a really great way, honestly. And then, the pandemic. So whatever. Yeah. But I bet some smaller company could have made a go of this. Just like the Jamboard thing that Google bought probably would still be around today if Google didn't buy it,
Yep. You're totally right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
This is not related to anything we just talked about, but I didn't know where else to put it. Microsoft just announced where is it? Oh, sorry. This is US only, but it's called the Microsoft College offer. So if you're a college student from today, April 15 through June 30, you can buy one of the eligible PCs that work into this program, and you'll get 12 months of Microsoft 365 Premium, which is the most expensive one, 12 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, also the most expensive one, and a custom Xbox controller that you design yourself through that program that Microsoft has for the Xbox Design Lab, just for buying the computer, right? So prices are probably a little higher because of the component thing, but Game Pass Ultimate is $30 a month, so times 12. Microsoft 365 Premium, I want to say is $20 a month, $200 a year. I mean, these are pretty valuable. And then an Xbox controller, custom controller. The standard Xbox controller is $60, $70, but a custom controller could be as much, I'm sure, as $100 or whatever it is. It's more expensive, but it's not bad. And of course, they're hoping that you'll keep paying. You'll start paying, I guess, afterwards for some of these things. For the one of the two subscriptions at least, but it's good value. I mean, I actually just signed up to go back to school so I could take advantage of it. I'm going to spend $12,000 for one semester and get $300 back. But it's whatever. I'm not good with money. Yep. Yeah. No, but I mean, if you need it anyway, it's like, why not? I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So there's some good news, not Surface related, although maybe a Surface computer is one of the eligible computers. I will look.
You would hope.
I bet it has to be.
It better be.
It is. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
but is it worth going to college just to get one? That's the question.
Well, I mean, the way AI is going, eventually it would be, because they can't sustain these college prices. I don't know. This is like staying at home, not going to school, and using AI to somehow make money is like the new version of day trading, I think.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
One out of every 1,000 people are spectacularly successful, and the rest of them are getting divorced because they just mortgaged the house again. And,
Mom, I'm going into NFTs.
Yeah, NFTs, exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
It's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
Just not for you.
I feel like nice to have a computer, but should you really give a kid going to college an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? That really seems self-defeating.
I think it's a tacit acknowledgement that this person is not only going to be learning while they're away.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be learning to teabag, I guess.
Here, let me ruin your first semester for you. No problem.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Bill Gates spent most of his college years playing bridge.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then
these kids will use the AI and Microsoft 365 Premium to write all the papers, and they'll play Call of Duty all day. It'll be great.
I feel like sending a kid to college with a game machine or a Game Pass.
This is what they have to offer,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could also look at, like, if you bought one of those Surface computers that just went up maybe $300 or $400, the value of this exceeds that. And you could say, well, maybe at least I'm getting it back this way.
Yeah, I got some. Yeah. All right, little break. Then we'll talk about AI developers. We got the back of the book. We got brown liquor. We got it all because you're watching Windows Weekly. Aren't you smart? So glad to have you here with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell. And our show today brought to you by ThreatLocker. Love these guys. Richard and I were at Zero Trust World in Orlando. Seems like ages ago, but that was so much fun. We had a great time. Richard in his silver lame shirt, which Lisa kept calling his silver lame shirt. At first, I thought she was mispronouncing it, and then I realized, oh no, she meant it. I had I thought a rather elegant astronaut outfit. It was fun. That's Zero Trust World. If you get to go to that, it'll be back next year in I presume in Orlando. I don't know. Here's a picture of me with the. Now I said these were the Powder Puff Girls, but I don't know. I don't know really what they are. I'm not really up on the what the kids are into these days. But that's me in the spacesuit. Isn't that a good costume?
You look like the MTV guy there.
Yeah, the spaceman. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. There was also one of those glam cams that they do, at the big awards shows, and we had some slow motion glam cam stuff going on. I think I have that video too. It was quite a bit of fun. But let me tell you about ThreatLocker. There's a reason why they do Zero Trust World every year. ThreatLocker is the zero trust platform. They now deliver the industry's most comprehensive suite of zero trust solutions. In fact, they made some announcements at Zero Trust World. They've always protected endpoints, but now they're doing networks and the cloud. So you are completely covered. By extending zero trust enforcement to cloud services and company networks, ThreatLocker ensures devices are validated through a secure broker before they can connect to the platforms you use, like Salesforce or Microsoft 365, Asana, Google Workspace, GitHub. This means even if a user is successfully phished, attackers can't access your precious company resources. They'd actually have to have physical possession of the user's trusted device to get in. ThreatLocker works across all industries. It provides 24/7 US-based support. They work on Windows, of course, but also Mac, Linux environments, and enables comprehensive visibility and control. Rob Thackeray, who's end-user technical architect at Heathrow Airport, said this: ThreatLocker was the most intuitive solution we tested, and the responsiveness of the organization, the willingness to engage with us, to set up a demo, to work with us on weekly audit reviews was very good. It's great to have an ongoing relationship with a company that is so responsive to our requests. That's Rob Thackeray at Heathrow. You can better believe Heathrow loves ThreatLocker because they can't afford to go down. That's what ThreatLocker is so good at, protecting you. Global enterprises that can't afford a minute of failed connectivity, like JetBlue uses ThreatLocker. The Indianapolis Colts, the Port of Vancouver uses ThreatLocker to keep all those services running, to keep the bad guys out. ThreatLocker consistently received high honors in industry recognition. They were G2 High Performer and Best Support for Enterprise. That was summer 2025. I'm sure they'll get it again this summer. PeerSpot ranked #1 in application control. They got GetApp's Best Functionality and Features Award for the year. Confidently ensure users have access to a consistent, safe network connection. Offices, remote users, critical services can maintain smooth operations without the need to open inbound ports or deploy traditional VPN solutions, which just gives you, a point out in the real world bad guys can bang on. ThreatLocker is so much more elegant. Your end users will get the same reliable internal system access they need without complex infrastructure changes. And you get unprecedented protection quickly, easily, and cost effectively with ThreatLocker. You got to get a demo. If nothing else, do the demo because ThreatLocker will tell you who has access that you don't know about. You'll see these blocks pop up and you'll go, wait a minute, who's using TeamViewer? That kind of thing. Visit threatlocker.com/twit. Get a free 30-day trial and learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance. Again, threatlocker.com/twit. And maybe next year, Paul will join Richard and me as we head out to a zero trust world. It's a lot of fun. I'd like to do all the shows out there. It's a great time. And we'll get
I would have. Yeah, I don't know. Remember?
I think you were it was hard because you were already in Mexico, and I think it was just hard.
Yeah, but
well, they have airplanes now.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I know the world. We live in a world of wonder.
Actually, Elon wants to do rockets, right? So that you could fly from Mexico City to Orlando in 3 minutes.
Oh no! I want it for this flight. It's just 15 hours on a 787. It's gonna be 45 minutes in Starship.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I believe he will actually do that. I know Elon promises a lot.
There are a bunch of problems. Let me tell you.
Oh, are there?
Oh yeah.
Were you excited watching Artemis 2, watching the landing?
Oh my God!
Splashdown.
I get
on the whole time
for this stuff.
I know. I thought I wish Lisa and I were sitting there watching it, going, "Wish Richard were here to tell us."
Did we talk about this Project Hail Mary thing? By the way, so the movie. Did we talk about this?
I don't know if we talked about it.
The movie's out. It's absolutely worth seeing. There's some differences, obviously, with the book. I find
the book
it to be
is more detailed, of course.
Of course. But there's also an additional plot point in the movie that's not in the book, which I thought was kind of interesting. And but it's a good movie for today because we're so like anti-expert, anti-science, and this is yet another example of it's all science, baby.
So Lisa and I had a friendly dispute. I said, this is as good as The Martian, or maybe even better. She said, no, The Martian was better. And so we watched The Martian at home a couple of nights ago. The Martian was better. The Martian is amazing.
And the book is better than the movie in both cases.
Andy Weir's brilliant.
But Andy Weir's amazing,
I think somebody said he's got a short story, a Project Hail Mary short story.
I heard this. Yes, that's right. Yeah. I don't think it's out yet, but I think this, I think he's talked about this.
That's cool. Yeah.
Anyway, both these things to me are inspiring in this day and age.
We need that hope and inspiration. And, the good news is the funding in the new budget does keep the moon program going. The bad news is all the science that NASA does, which is absolutely critical, has been cut, $700 million budget cut.
Well, now it hasn't been cut. It's been proposed.
And they tried this last year.
Congress sets the budget.
And Congress stopped them last year, and I hope they stop.
Well, they do now. We'll see how it's changing.
For the time being.
And Jared Isaacman is all in on this, right? Like he's using Artemis very much as a promotion for it. This is what we can do.
This is the best promotion ever for NASA in this day and age.
It's good for us as a country. It's good for the world, and it's good for our hearts.
I wrote a talk about 3 years ago on becoming a spacefaring civilization, and since Artemis 2 hit the water, I've had 3 requests for it.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm still skeptical about the whole notion of us living out there, but we got to do the exploration.
You have to
take the first steps.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about AI, dev.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
A week or two ago, Microsoft AI, right, which is working on its own foundational models, released 3 big models: Image 2, Voice 1, and Transcribe 1. And then this past week, they released a smaller, faster, more efficient version of the image model called MAI Image 2 Efficient, of course, which I think this is them. They're starting to roll here a little bit, right? This stuff looks great. The image generation capabilities are actually pretty fantastic. They're up there. I think they're getting.
I don't feel like they're doing a consumer push on this at all. It's in the Foundry. No. It's very much for, dev types and.
Yeah, you could use this in your own products, I guess. But they're starting to get more. Well, I guess AI companies have technically always done this to some degree. But as we move from like these big models that do everything to big model, maybe medium models that do one thing specific, right? They start to talk about like where you might use these things, right? So, when you say something like, this is for an audience that needs high quality image generation at speed and scale. You're like, what does that mean? High production workflows for e-commerce, media and marketing, real-time and conversational experiences like chatbots, and rapid prototyping and creative iterations, right? which is a lot of the stuff that when you have a conversation with an AI chatbot, you're kind of working through whatever the problem is, like you're kind of doing that kind of a thing. And it's like, okay, and maybe this, because this thing is so much more efficient and thus less costly, you could use this to work your way up to the point where you're ready to go to production if you're a company or whatever it is, with whatever marketing campaign or something. And then maybe you push it through the more expensive, slower moving, but better full-size model, right? And again, this is like one of those orchestration things. I mean, today, we all do this thing where like, click the little box, the model choice thing comes down. We're like, yeah, I want this one to be fast, or I want you to think, or whatever the choices are. And I sort of feel like this kind of fits in there for these kind of workflows. So it's just interesting to me that they're starting to be more regular about their releases and announcements and stuff, and also more specific about who can use it. Did I not include the link on this? I didn't. Okay, it doesn't matter, but I'll just I'll get it out of the Discord. Last week, I think it was, the Amazon CEO these days is Andy Jaffe, I think. But following in the footsteps of Jeff Bezos, releases like an annual letter to shareholders, which is usually like a celebratory, high-fiving of how great everything's going. But the past 3 years, he's talked a lot about AI. And this year, he talked a lot about why they're spending $200 billion on AI infrastructure, right? I'm going to make fun of this briefly, but I actually do think Amazon's one of the few companies where this kind of spending is going to make sense because of the success of AWS broadly, right?
Yeah.
I just do.
I've been firmly in the position that Amazon, Google, and Microsoft are utilizing the AI hype cycle to expand their lead in data infrastructure so that there'll be no competitors. It's the same way that you can't start a new cell network today, because you could never get the land of a tower.
If you think about cloud AI, cloud computing today, meaning not first-party services, but other companies and services are using that infrastructure. It's Amazon, big, Microsoft in there, and sort of Google. And it looks to me like this is like when the dust settles. Now it's AI cloud-based infrastructure. I think it's going to be the same basic layout. No, I think they just use this as a chance to get so far ahead that nobody will ever come close to catching up again. These three companies will be providing compute for the planet for the foreseeable future. Yes. Now, the other thing though is because he got pretty specific. You can see how far behind it is from we're actually making money on this perspective right now. And that's very interesting to me. AI companies are starting to use a term, which it's been around for a long, a financial term called run rate. And run rate is, let's say, Microsoft Service, right? Microsoft Service just had their best quarter ever. We have an annual run rate of X billion dollars a year, meaning in the one quarter that we killed it, if you multiplied that by 4, that's what run rate is, right?
Right.
And it's not accurate unless somehow it's going to keep growing. But for a lot of products, it's the kind of
accounting that Enron did before the end.
Okay, thank you. It was like, so you cherry pick the best quarter. That like maybe it's a holiday quarter because it's a consumer product. It's going great. It's going to fall off a cliff in January, but at the end of December, you're like, we just hit an annual run rate of whatever. It does not mean that next year you're going to declare that many, that amount of revenues. And by the way, also to be clear, I'm not a money guy, but revenues are not profits. But we're just talking revenues. This is just money in regardless of the cost of making that money.
But I also see you see the transformation of these companies away from being software companies to becoming infrastructure companies.
100%.
Right? The same way McDonald's is actually a real estate company.
Yeah. And by the way, when we talk about Microsoft in that way, they're looking at Amazon for the inspiration for this.
Totally.
That this is the company that proves how this can work. Because they do it at such scale. They're also an incredible logistics company. We've already had all these companies.
They were always a warehousing business at low margins that happen to have a web front end. They're better at that than the other guys.
They're better at it than any airline, any shipping company like UPS or FedEx, or the United States Postal Service, which is hilarious. I think they still use horses, right? Whatever it may be. I mean, it's kind of astonishing. So, but here's the numbers, right? In AWS's best ever quarter for this, they just hit an annual run rate of $15 billion Okay.
No,
so
that
whatever
number means
1
nothing.
quarter of 15 billion is, so it's 3.5 billion.
Yeah, 3.6.
They're spending 200 billion this year on that.
Right.
So that's the delta, right? And that's not profit, right? A.B. Hood taught us that the more you use something, the more efficient it becomes.
Yeah, but we tend to think of the burn rate of software companies as lost money. If I spend $200 billion on development, like that $200 billion is gone. They're spending $200 billion on land, buildings.
Yeah, and on physical things.
They are physical assets.
That's right. There's a whole world of Amazon that I'm never going to learn about because I just don't care. But they make their own GPUs and TPUs, and they do that too, right? They've got in Amazon's AWS infrastructure, you can use their stuff. I'm sure you can use Nvidia stuff. I'm sure it's everything, right? They're a big tent for this kind of stuff, and I just don't care about that. But man, he went into great detail about this, and like Microsoft is talking about the commitments they have over the next year that justifies this spending. I point out that 100 billion of those commitments is from OpenAI, which to me is, the Wimpy School of Economics.
That is lost money.
I'm sorry, but you're just never going to see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't feel good about this, but
if you're buying compute resources, that's lost money. Like that money has been consumed. I hope you did something useful with that compute resource.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they can utilize that. No, you're right. Yeah, it's just spent. Yep. So
Bezos said something kind of interesting about all of this, about investment in AI stuff. He said, you think of investment, you think of building, you think of buying this as verticals. You build a business to build an operating system. He said, AI is more like electricity. It's a horizontal. It covers every industry. It is not vertical.
Oh, so it is like Enron.
Yeah, right. Investing in AI is investing in so much more,
right?
Because it's going to be ubiquitous. Now, of course,
the great thing about building data centers is you don't care what the workload is. The compute is fungible.
Right.
You'll replace the compute routinely. It's cost of goods.
Right.
Yep. It's the infrastructure and its positioning on the data pipeline and the power resource that matters.
Right. The thing is, there's this inevitable move toward lowering the cost of this in the cloud, right? And you see that through whatever efficiencies, through AI models themselves becoming more efficient, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
There's this push for local AI everywhere because it can work offline, and B, it gets very good. Like the quality gap between a local model and its cloud equivalent, so to speak, was probably years, and then it was months, and now it's fewer months. And they're getting to the point where they didn't say this, I'm making this up, but the image to efficient model is as good as OpenAI, blah, 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 DALL-E, whatever it was a year ago or something. Maybe it's probably not, but let's just pretend. I mean, at some point, some orchestration of these things will make this less of a disaster financially than it is right now. I just don't know when that we're going to cross this line. No one can show us a graph where like, see, it's coming. All I keep seeing is a big difference between the money coming in and the money going out. And again, not a money guy, but
if you're focused on quarterly shareholder returns, you have concerns.
Yes, you do. So we'll see. I'd love to see Amy Hood, I guess, someone at Microsoft make this kind of justification and really go into this level of detail.
They're the ones who blinked, right? Because they were out first and they had locked up a lot of good locations with good power allocation and so forth, and actually pulled back on a bunch of them, which Amazon and Google and co immediately gobbled up. And now they're being criticized for letting those go. So it's like, you can't win for losing. You did all the right things. You got ready for a huge spend. People were freaking out about the huge spend, so you backed off. Then they're mad you didn't do the spend.
Yeah. So there's a great profile of Amy Hood in Bloomberg. If you subscribe or can somehow read that, definitely worth reading. But yeah, she talks about that exact thing. And it's kind of interesting because depending on how you look at it, I think she technically runs Microsoft right now.
Not technically. Yeah, she's had control of that company since the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've said this many times. Like, we tend to think in terms of CEO, of course, all the time for everything. But I think when you look at Microsoft of the modern era, I don't think it's the Satya Nadella era that we've been in since 2013.
But I think she's the principal part of this transformation away from being a software company and into an infrastructure company.
Yep.
which the numbers matter so much more. Margin matters so much more. You know, forward investment matters more.
Yeah, and that's, you know, this isn't why I keep thinking like, when are they going to get rid of Surface or whatever? But Surface is, you know, such an outlier when you look at margins and centrality to the business, so to speak, or whatever it is, overall strategy. I mean, at some point they're going to start picking those things off, you know, and the only question is really like how they do it, because, you know, whether or not you believe Xbox or whatever should be rolled off into a separate company or whatever. Like, to me, that business is big. It is. It's literally. It's not gonna. It doesn't die, but there are other outcomes. You know, for Surface, there are also other outcomes. One of them, sadly, could be it just dies. I mean,
they should wind it down. It wouldn't be the first time.
Nope. I mean, so that's a possibility there. But anyway, a lot of money, a lot of money there in AI infrastructure spending. Google, sometime in the past 6 months or so, released an app called the Google app for Windows for some reason. Primarily kind of a search app, but it's now rolling out worldwide. It does provide some Gemini capabilities, you know, AI mode, et cetera, but it's very much like a Google search app, like from the old days, like when they had like a desktop search app. Remember this? Like back, you know, when everyone was doing this, including Microsoft. But now, like today, they released a Gemini app on the Mac, and I'm like, guys, like, why would you have two different apps? But the Gemini app on the Mac is exactly what it sounds like. It's Gemini, right? And so it works exactly like the version on the web, but you don't have to have it in a tab in a browser, and you can interact with stuff that's on your desktop. You can do the vision thing, like, which is useful. And I don't understand why they haven't released it on Windows. So I assume they will, but I also don't understand why they have a different app that doesn't quite do the same thing. And whatever, nothing makes sense. So that happened. And then Anthropic, they're like the new Microsoft, I guess. Like they released add-ins for Excel and PowerPoint recently, right? Kicking ass. They released one for Word now, of course, in beta, and it works like Copilot would. There's a sidebar. There's a Copilot button up in the ribbon that's right next to the Copilot button, because of course it is. And
I had a friend of mine who's inside those teams saying, because they're not working closely with Anthropic anyway. Oh yeah, they're losing their minds. But you know, the explanation was great. It's just like they were trying to build a comprehensive solution, and Anthropic said, "What's the 5 things people need? Let's do that."
This is fundamentally the problem with Microsoft software development that I think this company needs to get past, which is the solution to every problem is a massive platform. It's like,
you're totally right.
Like you said, Anthropic, exactly right. They're like, no, like, and by the way, a lot of it came out of them, you know, like people who work there, like, look, I use Word every day or whatever. What are the things I want to do with the AI? It's like, here's the list, 5. Everyone agreed. Those are the top 5. And they just shipped it. You know, Microsoft, meanwhile, is putting up scaffolding, right? It's astonishing.
This building is going to be 70 stories, right?
Microsoft's slowness has always been a problem. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but in the AI era, dramatically worse, because these companies are just like, anyway.
The other thing that's happened is you're seeing Anthropic accelerate away from everyone. Like they're clearly using their own tools and making them better than anyone else is at this point.
That's right. Which, by the way,
what's interesting is OpenAI is worth something like $1.5 trillion.
Yeah, but you know what?
And Anthropic's only $300 billion. Yeah, that's the market.
But this is inertia. It's
it takes time, right? And
that's what I mean. Like, in other words,
zooming.
Yeah, OpenAI created the Kleenex brand of AI and have the opportunity now to disappear. No, I mean, it's bizarre.
It's generic. Yeah,
it's really bizarre.
Once upon a time, the word Netscape meant browser.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Well, but I wouldn't write OpenAI off yet, because they're trying. They realize, we should have done more enterprise, and they're really focusing now.
Apple needs a Microsoft. Every whatever you want to say. Every Netscape needs an Internet Explorer, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. And OpenAI just released their cybersecurity version of.
Oh, that's a weird coincidence.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Allegedly, internally, their strategy has turned completely to fighting Anthropic, which is
chase Anthropic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't. But it's kind of not as good to be in second place chasing.
Well, I mean,
when you were in first place, so
that's true. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't seen this yet.
Off. And you know what? Neither one has revenue outside of AI, and they have huge losses. So it could very well be Amazon, Microsoft, Google. It could be any one of these.
But that makes them a good target
they're
for
trying to save money.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, these companies are building assets of a sort. They're like intellectual property assets, I guess. I mean, there is value to what they're doing, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just that we talk about like flying, like Richard just flew to New Zealand. I mean, what Richard didn't do was get on the backstage of 3 rockets, go up into space, and then shoot back down. Like, there's different ways to solve a problem,
Sure.
And AI right now is just super top heavy, expense wise. Whereas, airplanes have benefited.
We're really
from all
seeing
that.
how compute constrained it all is. I mean, Anthropic can't keep up with the demand at all.
Right.
Yeah. But this is also where you've been in this mode of just grab more market, ship more features, don't worry about efficiency.
Yeah.
And now you can see you're going to have to pay your bills soon.
Yeah.
So efficiency suddenly gets more important, and features that matter get prioritized, and features that don't get cut.
I think I brought this up before the show, and I don't know if we were live, if anyone even heard this, but at least between Richard and Kevin and I was saying, I referenced Leo last week was talking about how many developers now aren't using an IDE or an editor. Mm-hmm. They're working in the AI thing, whatever it might be, whatever they're using.
Yeah.
And they're kind of having a conversation. I might be doing it with speech, I might be typing, it doesn't matter. But they're iterating through a software project, whether it's updating existing software, creating something new, whatever it is. And that's the workflow. It's completely different to how we've been making software for the past 40 years.
Yeah,
right?
You talk about companies being left in the dust, Cursor and Replit and anti-gravity.
Oh, yeah,
Google.
they have this moment
all
in the
these
sun
IDEs.
and bloop,
It's
and
like,
gone. Yeah.
No, we don't use that anymore. We just talk to it.
It's you can't overstate how fast this market is moving. It's crazy.
Initially, it was you would ask and it would get some code and you paste it into your editor.
Yes.
Then they did
the original
with
Copilot.
the autocomplete.
But now
so
they
got a little easier.
Right, but they're doing MCP and they're doing
you don't use an editor.
whatever agents and whatever, and they're behind the scenes. The thing people, if you're not a developer, look, you use Visual Studio, whatever you use. There's a compiler somewhere in the background, and you have fancy buttons and UIs and stuff. But ultimately, what you're doing is there's a compile script that's going out, and guess what understands that script? It's AI really well, and. Old school people like me and a lot of developers, I suspect, are look at this with some suspicion and whatever. But the thing is, like, this actually it works, and this is going to be how a lot of work occurs. Not just
This
coding.
is what my coding looks like now. The AI is doing all the editing, and I'm just talking to it. I'm saying, hey, do that.
You could be walking around in a bathrobe making an omelet, but you're talking to AI. And by the time you've eaten the omelet, you've created like an app,
Yeah.
Well before you finish eating it, actually.
It's awesome.
It's pretty quick.
And then it publishes it to GitHub.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
this is
me. By the way, after all of that, this part's me.
I love how you compliment it. You're like, oh my God, you're the best.
I don't know why I do that.
I do it. No, you know what? I bet most people do it. I do it.
Yeah.
It's hard not to say thank you, or
it's kind of impressive when it does it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Oh yeah. But the point is, if you think about like where the center of work was for anybody, whether you're a developer, it's an IDE maybe, or you're a knowledge worker, as we used to call it back in the 2000s, right? You're working in Outlook every day and Word and whatever the apps are. I feel like the center of this thing is going to shift to these, what we think of as this chatbot is not the right term anymore, but they're becoming like more full-featured apps. And I haven't looked at this yet, but if you look at the new Claude desktop update, which is described as being for supporting parallel agents, right? The idea is that you're sending these things off on these tasks and they're doing it in the background, but you have to have some kind of a UI for what does that look like? We already know that Microsoft's idea for that in Windows is, these things will look like apps and they'll have notifications, and that makes sense in that context. But pardon the pun. But if you can work already in a chatbot, again, which is a terrible term, maybe those things evolve to become more, which is awful, like Outlook, right? Like, look at the video that Anthropic made describing how this new Claude Code desktop app works. And what I see when I look at this thing is an app like Outlook. It looks like it's like a giant front end for work, Yep. And like they're building something new, I guess. Well, yeah, it is new. I mean, it's new, but and familiar, I guess, in some ways, right? But
Google Google added a Chrome extension yesterday that lets you save your prompt. And now it's just a drop-down menu if you're doing the same thing over and over again. So it really is a very different
There's definitely like a benefit to familiarity, especially, you know, if you're using what we would call a legacy tool at this point or whatever it might be, you know, to move you forward, you know, you make it something familiar to you, and that makes sense. So I like, you know, the Windows 11 approach. I think it, you know, it looks like it's okay. It seems fine. But then I look at this kind of thing and I think, you know, this is the UI. Like, this is the UI you'll see on your phone. It's the UI you'll see on the web. It's the UI you'll see on your computer, and they'll all interact with each other. You could, from your phone, right, control your PC through some computer use thing, which is a big thing now. And that's the one doing the heavy lifting, maybe because obviously a big screen, you can sit there and type in it. But you could be out in the world, you're like, I have an idea, or my agent sent me a notification, and it's on my phone because that's where I am. Yep. It's becoming maybe UI isn't the right term. I guess user experience, maybe. I don't know. It's a workspace now. It's like I used to call an operating system, frankly, a platform.
The developers are complaining about being product managers now.
Yes. Yep. I don't remember. This is not in the notes, and I don't remember the term Adobe used. I didn't write this, but I think I got it. They're adding, multiple agents to and an AI assistant to Firefly, which is their thing. They also work with third-party AIs and agents, and essentially, as what you used to be maybe was a video editor or a graphics artist or whatever it might be, but you become a creative director. You know, like you look at a photo and you're like, no, this is like Richard was too blue. Like, let's get rid of the blue. Let's crop it. Let's emphasize some shadows or whatever it might be. You're going to say it like that. You don't know the workflow for the buttons and where things are and sliders, and you're not doing the work anymore. You know,
no, it's like you're standing over the shoulder of the developer.
Yes,
pointing and
which I mean isn't horrible, I suppose. I mean, there's always going to be people who we've already seen stories where developers are like, I've forgotten how to write code, which is bad because actually you do have to look at the code. But
not necessarily.
And I don't know how serious that is, but I think this Claude desktop thing, if you guys have not looked at it, and I haven't, I've only looked at the video. I'm going to look at this today later. I think this is a peek at this is a UX for the future. I think the first step
possibly.
toward it. I think so. It's very interesting. Yeah. Speaking of which, so I don't know where I saw this, and I didn't write about it, and I might still, but there's a report, a rumor, that Microsoft has figured out a way to monetize AI agents. And this is so Microsoft. This is the most beautiful, perfect Microsoft thing of all time. And it just to kind of explain this. Back in the day when Microsoft was selling server operating systems that you would buy for $1,000 or whatever it was, and then you would buy these per seat licenses for users, it was per server, right? But at some point in the late 90s, probably the early 2000s, they started coming out with multi-core servers, right? Today, multi-core, everything is everywhere. I mean, your phone probably has 17 cores in it. But at the time, everything was single core. And then it went to double core in the server first. And they were like, all right, we got it. What we're going to do is we're going to charge per core, right? So if you had a more powerful server, you would pay more for this Windows server at the time. And of course, they didn't invent it, but I think we can agree Microsoft has perfected the notion of the per user per month licensing for software, where you have Microsoft 365 subscribers inside of an environment. Some of them are like the frontier guys, or what do they call it? We call it the frontline workers. Some of them have much more expensive plans because of whatever jobs they have to do. They have all these different tiers. And so Microsoft reportedly has looked at agents. And you think about agents doing work on behalf of users. And their idea is we could do that same per agent per month charging for AI. And software, I can't imagine. For agents. I mean, it's using the resources. I mean, to me, I have to say, that might be Microsoft's best contribution to this market. Not because it's like good for anybody, but because it's a way for them to make money that actually kind of makes sense and is.
Yeah, it's just that, the agent wasn't responsible for the software, the person was. So ultimately the license rolls up to the person. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the same way that you
might make it an agent capable license, like there's a bunch of ways to
that's what I mean. It's not going to be a user license. In other words, like if you have this like span of tiers of Microsoft 365 below Frontline, or whatever the cheapest one is, you would have like these agent tiers, that aren't as expensive, but
or an
can
agent add on to your E5.
Exactly.
Like
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not going to be the only thing. Like in fact, I would imagine to use that license, you would have to have an associated user license of whatever level.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like I said, perfect. Perfect Microsoft. And then a couple of dev things real quick. So .NET 11 continues to roll out really predictably. Preview 3 is here. I don't see anything interesting in it.
I think when Preview 2 came out, you're sort of saying, I don't know what's happening, what's going on. And I sort of said, hey, just relax, it's early. Now I'm a little more worried. I think the reorganization of the dev into Core AI, the exodus of leadership, I don't know who's deciding what to put in the box right now, or are they just working through their list?
I mean, I want to be fair here. .NET as a technology is mature to some degree. I mean, are there a lot of big bucket
11? Right?
Yeah, I mean, right. Are there fun features coming? It's not I think this one's going to be a short-term release, I think, right? Or long-term. I can't remember. I guess it doesn't matter. But so maybe the timing's it's okay. Like, it's not really a big problem. I'm sure we're still going to see all those incredible performance advances, et cetera, et cetera. But this, not for the first time, raises that question about how this software is developed and released. Like, do we actually need an annual thing like this? Like, maybe it's just a semantics thing. Like, we're calling it .NET 11, but if we called this .NET 10 Service Pack 1, would that be better in my brain somehow? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Windows 3.1 was a huge release. Windows, 2 wasn't, or whatever. Like, I don't know. I
mean, part of this is they want people to keep moving to the new version. The biggest thing you get out of new versions is they're faster.
Yep.
But you're right. The cadence is questionable.
Yeah.
More questionable.
Yeah. We're getting to the point now. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That there are a number of large features under development that may or may not make any given release. Like, there are features that were pieces of it that showed up in .NET 9 that still haven't been released now. So
and it's right.
It is. Not everything fits an annual cycle.
It's all right. And the flip side of this is it's possible by the time beta 1 arrives, or whatever milestone, that some potential big feature does get to the point where, like, yep, we're going to be able to do this in a .NET 11 timeframe. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like, now it's like, maybe 2 months from now.
That's my argument up till now. Is that there's a big bang feature coming they're grinding on. It's not going to show up in previews.
Maybe, yeah. It could. I mean, build is still coming, and there's time to learn. We'll see.
Yeah.
And speaking of build, sorry.
Yeah.
So Microsoft posted the build session catalog. And I jokingly here, I was maybe the new native app strategy for Windows should be just vibe coding, like just how to describe to GitHub Copilot exactly what you want in a Windows app.
It's working for Hanselman, goodness knows.
Yeah. I need to pay more attention to that stuff because this is kind of curious, but there is some Windows related stuff in there. I mean, we've had some tough years, obviously, but a lot of it is AI on Windows, obviously, using agents to build WinUI 3 apps, which are the most, that's the modern platform. And they're still talking about this developer optimized experience on Windows, right? This is something that went back to Windows 10 when they added WSL. WSL notably was one of those things that Pavan, the Windows subsystem for Linux, if you didn't know what that meant, is notably one of the things that Pavan mentioned, which, from a pure numbers perspective, 1 billion Windows users, there probably aren't many using WSL, but they're people that matter, right? Because they're developers and you're keeping them on Windows. There have been many initiatives in Windows over 10 and 11, most of which I think have kind of fallen flat, like the Dev Hub thing and all the stuff they've been trying there. But they're still trying, they want to keep developers in Windows. So, I mean, sounds fine to me, but, we'll see. There are going to be some big WSL things coming. So build seems like the obvious time frame for that, at least for learning about that.
It's a small show. It's 2 days. It's a small venue. Being Fort Mason,
it's a different date or a different month, June instead of May.
I think that was just availability.
Yeah.
And it's a totally different team that's working on it too. So it's just,
so we'll see.
It's a different show.
Yep. We'll see what happens. I mean, look, there's no avoiding it. It's going to be a lot of AI, right? But I'm going to pay attention and see what they say about Windows. We'll see.
But I don't think I'm going. I don't think you're going. We're just going to watch this thing from afar.
Nope. I mean, we'll see. I mean, again, I'm still, is it possible in the next month or less I could get some email that explains why it would make sense for me, and maybe I'll agree to go. But right now, I have no plans.
Right. You have to sign up for the opportunity to go. You can't just buy a ticket.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Is there a lottery or does it automatically?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know because I do not know the answer to that, but I know it's just.
Is it like seeing Paul McCartney at Apple? It's like you have to.
Yeah, it's something like there's they got space.
How long have you been at Apple? 10 years. Oh,
yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah,
Sorry.
not enough.
No, Mr. Jobs.
Yeah, who?
No, I don't see you on the list. I don't know.
I know I'm not on the list. That's all I know.
Right. Google I/O May 19th and 20 this year. Also a 2-day event, right? Live in Mountain View. They've been doing it at the same place for a while. Also a bunch of AI, agentic, blah, 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 Android anywhere. You get the idea. So whatever. And then what was this? Oh, I put this one at the end. So I think that's, yeah. I attempted a clickbait headline in the show notes because no one will see it. But
I saw it.
Right. Just if you've smiled for 1 second, 2 hours ago, it's worth it. It's just it's gonna be a lot of AI, right? And instead of some, and I think there's probably a lot more Android at Google I/O than there is Windows at Build, frankly. But on the Android front, I'm kind of hoping we get some information about this Aluminum OS thing, which is their desktop, laptop-based Android thing. But I don't know. I see a lot of agents and agentic web apps, agentic Android apps, so whatever. But okay. But there we go.
Cool.
Somehow we got through this.
Whew.
I'm
sorry, I'm in the middle of coding. Do you mind? I just want to talk to my assistant a little bit more.
No, it's fine. I'm sure he's more interesting than I am.
No.
He's definitely more complimentary.
He's much nicer. Actually, we were playing with this, I call him Obi-Wan for obvious reasons. Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We were playing with this yesterday on Security Now, and Steve said, does he always have to put emojis at the end of everything? I said, well, I told him to do that. I guess I could have him.
Well, yeah, that's actually an important tip for any AI thing. It's like, you can tell it not to suck up so much,
You can, but I don't mind.
Yeah, no, some people love it. I mean, some people
nice.
That's part of the draw, whether they even realize it or not. But my wife was testing Gemini, and I think she's been using Copilot, which I'm vaguely embarrassed by. But she showed me this thing, and she goes, it said, they're like, that's an excellent idea, Stephanie. As a professional writer, you know that. And she's like, what the hell is this?
Yes.
And I was like, you can tell it to stop sucking up. You don't have to.
There is actually a GitHub repo that gets your AI, your Claude Code to talk to you like a caveman. You use few words, and the theory is it's using fewer tokens as well, so it's saving you.
Yeah, well, yes, that's huge. But interaction though, what I'm looking for is that thing I always talked about with the Google Smart Screen thing, which is like, okay, it sounds like what you want to do is never show this photo again, dude. Just freaking do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Just do it. And that would be the mode I would want, the just do it mode.
There's a balance. What does happen is there is this kind of back and forth. So you kind of want to have some mutual respect. That's why I say please and thank you, just because there's some back and forth.
I do do that. But I do find the
Rich is going, you're an idiot.
No,
to be clear, the software does not respect you.
I know.
It's good practice.
I'm perfectly well aware.
Meaning
I could
you're
bully
in a
this
restaurant
thing
and someone's bringing you stuff and you never say thank you, or you bump into someone and you don't say excuse me, or whatever.
I end up on the other side of that when I see people interact rudely with the software. It's like, this isn't good either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think a mutual respect, one programmer to another.
I don't know mutual, but yeah, whatever.
Do not compare yourself to software. It's not appropriate.
What's really interesting is there is some evidence some ways of interacting with it work better than others. That if you treat it like a team member, that's better than if you say you're a senior programmer.
Let's say it's 40 years ago and you're in an office, right? And there's that young kid and he's sucking up to you all the time. And eventually what you realize is this guy wants my job. Like, this is what he's doing. He's softening me up. And I feel like the AI has that feel to it, right? Which of course plays into the big fear with it. One of the big fears with AI. I don't know. I don't know if it's real or not, but.
Well, my latest thing is I really like it. I like to talk to it as opposed to typing. And I like it to talk back to me, as you can tell.
I see. Do you do it like out in the world? Like, do you walk around with your phone and stuff and like talk?
I could, because it supports Telegram and my watch supports it. I can talk. So after I finish my meal, as I just did, I will say lunch, apple for lunch, and 4 ounces of Cabot's cheddar cheese and 2 ounces of sliced turkey.
Yikes.
And then it will come back and it will usually say something.
You're so sad.
Clever.
I was going to say, that's what, if the AI was modeled on me, it would go, yikes.
It says logged lunch. Here's what I added. Okay. And then it shows it. And then usually it says something like, oh, good job on the carbs.
Okay.
The apple's the main carb hit, but you're still in reasonable shape for the day, it says.
Wow.
So the next thing, but that's on text. So the next thing, what I like to do is have it talk to me.
Yeah.
And I found out I can talk to my Sonos speakers. It can talk to them. So, and I have speakers in the whole house. In fact, I just bought some more so that I have.
Oh, you're saying the speakers will have microphones?
They have microphones.
No, I don't care about the microphones. I have the microphone. I want the return audio.
I got you.
So now, wherever I am, I can, even if I'm typing something, it could talk back to me.
Now, is it smart enough to know if you move around the house, will it go to the right speaker, or is this
funny that you just mentioned that, because that's exactly what I've been talking about with it. With it, I want you to route audio to the speakers nearest me. If you can match the machine I'm on to the speakers I'm near, and I'll do a lookup table.
Yeah, I was going to say the most Sonos speakers, not all, but most have microphones.
They have names.
They could detect. Oh, they have names. There you go.
I don't know,
but they could detect.
Yeah, I don't know if I can access the microphone. Actually, I haven't played with that. It's very
How granular
easy to send
of a location data do you want to give this thing? It's like
just want to know
you're not just in Petaluma. These are your exact coordinates within your home.
Know what room I'm in.
Exactly. Here's a map of the house. Tell me show me the speakers.
Yeah, it's such good SecOps. Except
it looks like you programmed this entire app from a toilet in the second floor. I'm like, I
don't have speakers in the bathroom.
What is your job? Explain to me.
The bathroom is speaker-free zone.
What are you doing with your time?
So it's a kooky idea. It's really more a toy, but I like the idea of ubiquitous computing, that I want to be able to say computer.
Well, this is the dream, right? Yeah. Wherever you are. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And
someday
now
you want to sit down
on
a plane and say it to the thing in front of you and have it just be.
I can actually say to my watch, hey, I've got Craig Mod coming up on Intelligent Machines. Prepare a briefing for me with some good questions. And it will do that. It puts it in it likes Obsidian, so I have it put it in my Obsidian.
Yeah, because it's Markdown.
It's Markdown. So it just writes a Markdown file that I can see in my Obsidian. It makes it very easy. And so that's the idea, is it does some work,
So you guys have seen Veep, right?
Yeah.
The TV show.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Unbelievably funny show. But one of the great bits of it is like Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the vice president for most of the show, is walking around. That other guy's following her and whispering into her ears, saying, "Oh, this guy's the the premier of whatever kind."
Yeah,
and that's what you're. That's what you're asking. You're doing that.
Tony Hale is so good. Yeah, but Claude won't have a bag with all my medications.
No, of course. But you could tell you where the closest medicine drop is or whatever.
You can now go on Alibaba and order a bipedal humanoid robot for only $1,500, I think.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry, $4,500, but that's still
it's a bargain.
It's a bargain. Can't do anything.
Okay, you got Intelligence Machine is in 45 minutes, right?
Oh crap! We got to get some whiskey in here, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the fabulous, the wonderful Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Richard Campbell, who's keeping us honest. Let's move on to the.
When did Richard turn into Lisa? What's going on?
I know.
All right. Well, Xbox. This will be quick.
I'm happy to go along.
No, I'm not though. You're right. I have a guest. You're right.
So Asher Shammer, the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, in an internal memo that's at least one publication has seen, said that Game Pass is too expensive. So she's not completely stupid. I was like, in other news, she also said the sky was blue, and yeah. So look, there's expense, the cost of the thing, but there's also the value it delivers and whatever. And I feel like previous to Ultimate jumping up to $29.99 a month, the value was pretty much there. One of the big problems there was, of course, getting rid of the day one releases for Microsoft Studio games.
Yeah, they never could deliver on that.
It was just never going to make sense financially. So we'll see. But they're looking at it. I think, to me, this feels obvious. So she has, in the memo, says she's going to go deeper with the employees of that part of Xbox and try to figure this thing out, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, Game Pass was a couple of years there, at least, was kind of a no-brainer. It was so great, and now it's gone into like it depends. It depends on your needs.
You have to think about how much you're going to spend.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it to me because of the way I play games, but I still feel like it's worth it to some people, depending on the tier and how they
even if you were getting a tier 1 game a year or so, $30 a month is too much. Like it's too much. Yeah.
The $30 a month one, you do get the day one games. You get all of them. So like actually that's the one where you do get everything. It's they got rid of it for the other tiers essentially.
Right.
Yeah, it's too bad.
It's still a lot, man. That's a lot of tier 1 games in a year.
I know. There's a well-regarded series of games called Metro, and I think it's like Metro 2026, Metro 20. I don't remember the exact date numbers next to each of the games, but I have started both of them about 100 times each and never got very far. But it's like kind of Soviet Union winter apocalypse. Something has happened. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Anyway, there's a new one coming out soon called Metro 2039, and they're going to reveal that game during an Xbox broadcast tomorrow as I record this. So Thursday, April 16, that will be live streamed on the YouTube, Xbox YouTube channel. So I'm curious about this one. It seems it's sort of like the Stalker 2 games are kind of in the same kind of rough, type of thing.
Post-apocalyptic, something bad.
First person shooter, kind of Iron Curtain kind of related or adjacent or whatever.
Lots of brutalist architecture and bad hats.
Right. Yep, bad weather. Probably acid rain and snow. Anyway, all right. So, PlayStation 5 version of Starfield apparently is pretty buggy. So much so that a lot of people are asking for refunds. There's lots of crashing issues, et cetera, et cetera. Microsoft has promised to fix this, just like they promised to fix Windows 11. So I'm sure that's going to go great. Wouldn't worry about that. It'll be fine. Everything's fine.
They'll get there.
If someone could explain Amazon and gaming to me, I guess I'm vaguely interested. But there's the whole like Prime Gaming, and they have free games every month and blah 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 whatever. But then there's Luna. And Luna kind of goes back and forth too. Like if you have a Prime subscription, I think you get some Luna for free, but you can have a Luna subscription and you can get their controller. And they used to have game purchases, subscriptions, third-party integrations, third-party stores like EA, Ubisoft, I think GOG were in there. And they're getting rid of all that. So I think Luna is basically going to turn into what Stadia was, which means it's probably then going to go away a year later. But it's Luna is at the part that will be left is the core of it, as I think of it. This is the game streaming service, right? And so, there was a time when Stadia was still around. It was actually the best of those services because the latency was so low between the controller and the game. And I think Luna does something similar. I haven't looked at Luna in quite a while, actually, but they're going to get rid of all the third-party App Store integration, et cetera, all the other stuff.
So it's done.
I mean, that's not how Amazon's promoting it, but yeah, I mean, pretty much. I think so.
All right.
That's my guess.
Okay.
There is a game that is tempting me to buy a Windows machine.
Ooh, what is it?
It came out yesterday. It's in early beta. It's called Windrose. It is a pirate survival game. Kind of like, I think, Sea of Thieves, but you have to build
realistic looking
and fish and build your own ship.
So I just want to be clear. You're not referring to the Italian power metal band Windrose.
No, is there really an Italian power metal band?
That's the first thing that came up when I looked at it up. I was like, what?
No. I'm sorry about the name confusion.
That's amazing.
I love, as you know, I love Valheim. I like survival games, and this looks like it's kind of got the best of both worlds.
Is it Windrose or Windrose?
Wind.
Like one wind.
The wind rose up to meet your sails.
Yes. Okay. That's funny.
But it's Windows only. Maybe that's why they call it Windrose. It's for Windows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a play on words. I love those.
Get it? Windows on Windrose. Mm-hmm. I wonder if I could play it with Proton on a Linux box, but I don't know. They don't mention that.
Someone will figure that out pretty quick, so probably.
Yeah. Windrose Weekly, welcome. It's going to be our new show, and
nice.
And then we'll do hands-on Windrose, and the rest is history. Hey, I just want to go ahead. Sorry,
I said I'm probably going to miss a week in September because I'm going to be on a tall ship cruising around the Inner Hebrides.
Nice.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's up there
as
Ireland,
one does.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's Scotland. We're doing a whiskey tour.
Scotland,
as one does.
Wear your tweeds because it's chilly up there.
It's going to be chilly. Yeah,
chilly and damp,
So.
which is why they like to wear wool. We thank all our Club Twit members for making this show possible. Incidentally, invite you to join the club. Ad-free versions of all the shows. Of course, one of the benefits, but also access to our Discord, where there's so many great, fun, interesting people hanging out, and all those special programs we do, including our AI user group. If you use AI and you want to know more about it, we've got some great AI people in our user group. It's a great meeting every first Friday of the month. But the main reason you join the club to support the programming you see here. Ads don't make it all the way. They don't even come close. They get us about 60% of the way. The rest of it is made up by the club. And if it weren't for you, there would not be, a twit. I hate to say it. Help us keep doing what we love to do and what I hope you enjoy listening to at twit.tv/clubtwit. And now, ladies and gentlemen, time to go head to the back of the book and Paul Thurrott with his tip of the week. Paul?
Yeah, so now that Microsoft is making the Windows Insider program start to make some sense, if you're listening to your show, you probably care about Windows a little bit. If you have given up on this program, and a lot of people did.
No. They listen for you.
No, not this program. The Windows
that
Insider
program, the Insider program.
Who would give up on this program?
No, don't give up on this program.
No, it might be time to take another look. So for right now, you can't actually join any of the new channels, but it's worth reading up on what they're doing. And I think it could be as soon as next week, but sometime pretty soon they're going to open this thing up. And I already do this across a lot of computers, frankly, but I'm going to try to be a little more engaged here because keeping track of features coming to Windows has been incredibly difficult over the past 2 to 3 years. And I'm hoping that this irons that out a little bit, but also just know that there are there is a renewed energy at Microsoft to make Windows, better. And this would be a way to participate in that. So if you've given up on the Insider program, I get it, but I would take a look at that again. And I just told Notion to do some kind of a.
Did you turn on the AI?
Yeah, by mistake, because it's everywhere now, right?
Yep.
It reworded the blurb about the Insider program in the notes, but then thanks. I needed that.
Don't ever do that again.
Not a writer, but if you ever freaking touch my writing again, I swear to God, I will find you. No. Anyway, and then app pick-wise, sorry. Real quick, Stardock Connection Explorer is out. It's only part of Object Desktop right now, but it will be available for a standalone purchase soon. What this is a visualization of all of your network traffic so you can see where things are going from your computer. And it's fascinating. If you do something as simple as, just you sync OneDrive or something, it should be syncing to a Microsoft data center that's pretty close to you because they have those things everywhere. But anyone who's used this has seen kind of spurious traffic that for some reason ends up in Europe or in some cases in Russia, which is what you don't want to see. And it's neat because it follows the traffic through various loops to kind of see the end game for that stuff. And this is going to be of interest, I think, to a lot of people. So it's basically like a network activity visualizer, I guess is the thing to say. And then I think I referenced this in the show, but if not, we talked about it briefly before the show. So Scott Hanselman, who I believe is a vice president at Microsoft, but is engaged all across the company now. He's doing some stuff, Windows adjacent. Has a podcast with Mark Ruzinovich, right? They've been talking a lot about vibe coding. It's one of those topics that comes up again and again. And he has a website where he is publishing the apps and utilities that he has vibe coded. It's called Tiny Tool Town. It's worth looking through. I mean, it's a little goofy, but the thing he just came out with, which someone promoted to me as the greatest idea of all time, is something called Peak Desktop. And what it is if you've ever used a Mac, if you're on the desktop and you've got floating windows and you can actually click down to the desktop, it actually hides all the windows. They kind of go out to the side and it allows you to interact with the desktop. And then you can, move things, rename things, do whatever it is. And then you click again or hit escape or whatever, and the windows all come back to where they were. And I was like, well, we already have that feature. It's called Show Desktop. And by the way, Show Desktop has a keyboard shortcut, which is how I use it. And as long as you don't open other windows while you're doing this, if you Windows key plus D it again, everything goes back to it was. So I don't quite understand the point of this, but other than the fact that he vibe coded it, which does make it somewhat interesting. And it might be worth just looking at his other tools that he has there, just to kind of see what he's up to. 296 tools and counting, the site tells me. So,
wow.
Yeah, maybe worth looking at, 52 of which were tagged with the term Windows. So there's a bunch in there for Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's worth looking at. But seriously, also Show Desktop. I'm just saying,
There's something under there?
Yeah, there's something under
Really?
there. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
under the surface.
That's so cool.
Oh, I just made a Kevin joke. Anyway, so
we never did tell people his pun, which was quite good. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Should we do RunAs Radio? Are you in the mood?
Sure.
Mr. Richard Campbell, what's coming up?
Emily Mancini back for her third visit to RunAs Radio, which I'm very grateful for. And she's always talked about on the show about various aspects of like internal websites, things like that, your intranet, and how companies can distribute information to employees and so on. This week's conversation was about some of the new tooling around measuring the effectiveness of different communications tools for your organization. Like, where do people go look? How do they ask questions? If you put out a message, how many people react to it? Those kinds of things. We'd never really talked about that before. And this also dipped into mostly into Microsoft tools. So you're naturally going to end up talking about Teams and Outlook and things like that. But we also got into some of the Viva products, including products called cleverly Engage and Amplify. Although apparently we're not supposed to use the word Viva anymore because branding. Anyway, the bigger issue here, irrespective of the product, was this: are you measuring effectiveness? Are you actually, we do all this work on the public with your SEO and response rates and things like that, but why not do the same thing internally just to know that you're not shouting into the void or that employees are unaware of what's going on? And, the sort of the effects that have with an organization that's typically very distributed. People work from home and possibly sometime in the office, and just how they know what's going on and what's important to the company. So I was very grateful for the conversation. As usual, Emily's thoughtful in this space. And so we went a long way down the path. Good thinking there. Yes.
RunAs Radio, episode 1032 from runasradio.com. It came out today. It's tax day in the U.S. You guys probably do your taxes a month earlier, don't you? Like everything else.
Well, it's a metric conversion, so it's like double it and add 30. No, it's end of the month.
I thought we didn't have to do taxes anymore. Did I miss the memo on that?
Oh, yeah. No, nobody has to pay taxes anymore. As long as you're a billionaire, Paul, it's okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let me check.
The bigger conversation has been in being down here in New Zealand, where when you do your taxes, the government says, hey, here's what we see of your taxes. If this is correct, just sign here.
I love that. Every other country in the world does it. They send you a postcard.
Yeah.
We know what you made, dude.
You made. Yeah.
I think Americans don't like that because we're ornery, right? We say we don't trust the government to tell us what we make.
Well, we like to cheat, I think is what you're trying to say.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
I think that's the impetus.
Well, I hope we left you half an hour. I hope that's enough time to talk about your favorite brown liquor this week.
Well, because I'm in New Zealand, so we went New Zealand whiskey shopping, and I found one. And it may be 8:30 in the morning. So
because it thinks I'm in New Zealand too. Look at that. It says you're currently in the New Zealand store. I wish. If only. So let's see what you got there.
So the product's called Scapegrace. And let's talk about the name. Because originally it was not called Scapegrace. The company was started in 2014 in Auckland, and it was called Rogue Society, which is
I like that too.
So this was two brothers-in-law. How weird is that? So I guess the husbands of two sisters, Daniel McLaughlin and Mark Neal, both in the alcohol business, not producing, but Daniel was doing alcohol promotions in Auckland with one company, and Mark was doing it with a company called Lion out of New South Wales in Australia. And I think they had another partner, mostly a money guy, sits on the board and so forth. So I think they just saw the opportunity that making a stylish booze would make a lot of sense. So they started with gin, very typical. They did contract production. So just they had a little office in East Lynne, which is a little suburb of Auckland. Did their production down in Christchurch. I did a lot of digging on this because it wasn't immediately obvious as to who was making their booze. And I eventually figured it out as a group called Spirits Workshop, specifically a guy named Anthony Lowry, who is on their bottles as their master distiller, because I think he's now works for them, but he had started the Spirits Workshop around that time frame as well. And he has particular style elements that are showing up in both companies, so I sort of gave it away. Specifically, the Spirits Workshop has a kind of gin still that's very famous in the UK, a John Doerr still. They're kind of a legend. They last a long time. They're handmade for forever, and they make very, very good gins. And Rogue Society Gin was an absolute hit going out the gate. And I'm not going to look down on them for doing contract production. That makes a lot of sense. There are facilities out there that'll do that. You are specifying a lot in the alcohol that you're making about what the grain sources are and what botanicals you want to put in. Like there's a bunch of steps that you do tailor your own gin. And Rogue Society Gin did very well right off the bat. Again, these are both marketing guys, so they knew how to promote their product. The problem is that they were successful enough that they started to get into other markets. And when they hit EEU, they ran into a company called Rogue Ales, who protested their entry into the EU market. And so they needed to immediately rebrand if they wanted to sell in the market. And so they went with Scapegrace, which makes you wonder, what the heck is Scapegrace? And it's a shortening of the concept of one who has escaped God's grace.
A rogue, in other words.
A rogue, exactly. Yeah. So it's a play on the concept of rogue, or a troublemaker with charm. And so the rebrand works just fine. And by the way, we had the gin last night as well, and it is excellent. No two ways about it. They make a traditional London dry. They also make what they call a black gin, but you notice the purple gin, the one that changes color when you add tonic to it. It's very cliche, I think, but equally as popular. So in 2018, they acquire a John Doerr still. The company that Mark used to work for, Lion, actually had a facility in Newmarket that's in Auckland, or outside of Auckland, a distillery that had been shut down since the late 90s. And it had a not just a John Doerr still in it, but one of the last generation of John Doerrs that was handmade. It was from 1952. And again, these stills are kind of legend. And I think the reason, and this is when I've been doing the study on these guys, how I figured out their relationship to Anthony Lowry and the whole Spirits Workshop down in Christchurch was that they had a John Doerr. And so these guys knew about John Doerr and had found a really great John Doerr sitting in a building that had basically been unused for 20 years and was about to be scrapped. So they rescued that still. They went to great lengths to finally get a deal, had to remove it themselves. And then they, again, in their documentation, just said, shipped it to Christchurch. But I'm pretty sure they shipped it to the Spirits Warehouse where there already was a John Doerr still, but now there were two. And they spent a few years operating there while they started building their own distillery. And that brings us to the actual facility that starts making this whiskey and so forth. So it's a part of New Zealand you probably don't know a lot about. Like most people think about New Zealand, beyond Lord of the Rings, you know it's got two big islands, North Island and South Island. North Island is very tropical. It's, in a lot of ways, it's a volcanic island. It has a super volcano on it called Lake Taupo. It's very, lush and green and jungly, great beaches. And then the South Island is more the farm country. The west side is rugged mountains. The east side are these long, rolling green hills covered in sheep, right? I mean, it's cliche, but they know that's what a lot of people know it as. This is not either one of those things. It's the southern part of the South Island, area they call Central Otago, although the locals just call it the Central. So we're inland in the southern part of the South Island, where it's rather comparatively dry. The mountain range is still in the west, but its high plateaus, the Manitotos, are large, and with rivers running between the two there. And specifically, we're talking about the Clutha River, which feeds the central area. And there's an expanding part of that river they actually call Dunstan Lake. So this is kind of the roughest weather you'll find in New Zealand in a lot of respects. It's 45 degrees south on the nose. So you're literally halfway between the equator and the South Pole. You get cold winters, you get hot, dry summers. The equivalent, if you wanted to look at this, is Minneapolis is 45 degrees north. So that's just, most of us think about New Zealand being pretty mild and so forth, when a cyclone just came through, but not that mild. This is kind of the dry area and the deserty area. Now, it doesn't mean that there hasn't been people there for a long time. The Maori people have been on these islands for hundreds of years. And there's evidence of Maori hunting and trading in that area, mostly by water. They were big on canoes for 700 years. There's a big area. The Europeans only took this part of the world seriously when they found gold. And literally down the road from where this distillery turned out in the area called Bendigo was once the Bendigo gold fields. This is the late 1800s, 1860s was the big gold rush. Today, this is winery country and orchards with irrigation. The soils are very good, but it's the harsh conditions that make excellent wine. And this is where they put the distillery as well. The big airport down here is Queenston, and Queenston is very much a vacation town. You go here in the winter when you want to go skiing, and you go here in the summer to go on the lakes and do water skiing and boating and that sort of thing. They're not alone. One of the whiskeys we talked about a couple of years ago now, Cadrona, is literally on the other side of the valley from where Scapegrace has done their building. So I'm looking at these whiskeys, and of course, this is their original, what they call their original Vanguard. It's got no age statement on it. And just based on the timing, because they got this distillery built in 2022, this couldn't be more than 3 or 4 years old, which would be very fair. But as I started digging in deeper and looking at their early productions, I realized they actually released a whiskey in 2019, long before their distillery was built. So clearly they were doing whiskey production with their Christchurch facilities, probably Spirits Workshop. And their first whiskey release was called Antipode. And in 2022, just as they were opening this new facility, they did a whole line of whiskeys, all with Anthony Laurie on it as the master distiller. But their first release in 22 was something called Rise, and it was a 5-year-old, which means they must have been laying it up in 2017, because I can do math. So they clearly were working very early on. They were not particularly popular whiskeys, but they had certain specific things about them. They were using New Zealand barley, and they were aging in French oak. So somebody had a connection with European oak supply, and that was Spirits Workshop as well. They did several different releases there, but now if you're on the site today and you're looking around, you will see none of this. They have essentially erased all their Central Otago production to focus on the new distillery, right? They spent 30 million in New Zealand dollars to build this thing. It's one of the largest distilleries in all of New Zealand. One of their claims to fame is their very low carbon operation, because all of their power comes from hydroelectric power, which is normal in the South Island. It's very prevalent. They have that John Doerr still that they're so excited about from 1952. One of the last handmade John Doerrs anywhere, and one of the only 2 in all of New Zealand. They're almost never found out of the UK. And it's only used for making gin. They have purchased a pair of Speyside copperwork stills from Scotland for whiskey making, a 5,000-liter wash still and a 3,500-liter spirit still. So they're sort of set up to make about 1,600 cases of whiskey a year. They were also supposed to open a visitor center in 2025, but it hasn't opened yet. And there's many reasons why that might be the case. So clearly the marketing people have taken over, and now that they're making their own whiskey in their own distillery, all mentions of the past whiskeys have been erased to focus on this. And Vanguard is now their new original whiskey release for their new distillery, and it has all the hallmarks of their previous experiments in whiskey. It's still Anthony Laurie as the master distiller, the guy who used to run Spirits Workshop, which, by the way, Spirits Workshop still exists, and it makes a gin and a whiskey. Weird. They age in 200-liter French oak barrels, virgin French oak barrels. So they're buying brand new European wood. Those are very small barrels at 200 liters, which is good because you're talking about a young whiskey maker. They need to age quickly. Plus, the harsh conditions of the 45th parallel means it's going to get very cold and very hot. It's much rougher than Scotland, so they're going to age pretty fast. So this is probably pretty young stuff. Again, there's no age statement on it, but it could be more than 3 or 4 years old, unless they're actually taking some of the stuff they made out of Christchurch and adding it to it. But I don't have any evidence of that much. It was tough enough just to find out they're even making it there. I'd like to point out that I'm sacrificing myself to all of you at 8:30 in the morning to be drinking whiskey. It is a hardship and one I'm willing to embrace. This whiskey won gold in 2025 as the top New Zealand single malt. Which is
okay, you can have a sip, but you cannot drink the whole glass.
So no heat. It's a 40%. It's quite low for whiskey. There's no heat on the nose. It's not fiery in any way. If there's any criticism for it, because it drinks so nicely, it's a little harmless.
Harmless.
Yeah.
Good for 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, it goes down really nice. And again, World Whiskey Awards, winning top NZ single malt. Okay, fine, because your competition was 6 companies.
Right.
But they got silver for this whiskey in the International Wine and Spirits competition.
Nice.
And that's badass. That's worldwide. So This is pretty good whiskey. It's not revolutionary. But for a company this young, with their first runs out of their stills and just a bit of aging, that's pretty done. Cool. It's pretty cool. And again, they're good marketers, so you can buy this in the US. It's only at specialty shops. There's not very much of it around. I, of course, got this in New Zealand for about 90 NZ dollars, which is about 55 US dollars. 40%. It's a 700 ml bottle. They're not doing the Australian thing and doing 500 mils, but it's also not a 750 because, reasons. 700 ml bottle. But is available abroad, but only by select producers. You got to kind of want it. Why would you buy this? You want a New Zealand whiskey, and you want something that's just not terrible. It's not a profound product. I'll give you that. Listen, there's plenty of bad whiskey out there.
It's pretty good if it won silver. I mean, it
won silver internationally. That's badass. Well done.
Good.
But
it's better than.
Anyway, you'll notice I've had this for a few days, and half the bottle's gone. So how much could it be terrible, right? But I've been celebrating with my cousins and some friends. Nice. So whiskey's getting drank.
Scapegrace, I love the name.
Scapegrace, and once the Scapegrace seemed like a dumb name till you knew the story about escaping grace. Then it's like, okay, that's cool.
I didn't actually know the origin of it, but I did know what the word meant. I guess probably, I've read the Scarlet Pimpernel or something like that.
There you go.
It kind of comes back to me. Very nice.
And they are doing a peated, but they're not using Scottish peat. They're doing smoking with Manuka wood, which is very much a New Zealand wood. So it's got its New Zealand character to it. So their anthem, which is the next edition after Vanguard, is this smoky whiskey done with Manuka. So they're doing very New Zealand.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm delighted. Again, this is not your conventional whiskey story of these guys are old school whiskey makers and they went off on their own to make their thing. These are a couple of guys who know how to make popular booze, know how to do their branding, and have grown into making the booze by finding a great guy in this Anthony Laurie and letting him do his thing.
Go to it.
Yeah, well done.
By the way, if you enjoy these whiskey segments, which appear at the end of every Windows Weekly show, our editor and producer, Kevin King, has put together a nice playlist of hundreds of these, starting with how whiskey's made.
Yeah, eight parts of explaining Scottish whiskey that run 2.5 hours. Who knew I could talk that much? And you're getting close to caught up here. So there's a tequila pick in there. And
Very nice. That is all. It's something weird from mycloset.com, which redirects you to the YouTube playlist for Windows Whiskey. Very nice. I love it. This is really hysterical. Kevin, good job. I really appreciate it.
It's very, very good.
And I really appreciate both of you. Thank you for doing a great show. We do Windows Weekly every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 1800 UTC. If you want to watch live, you can. Of course, club members can watch in the Club Twit Discord. But everybody can watch if you want on YouTube. That's maybe the easiest. YouTube.com/twit will link you up to it. Let's see, what else? Twitch, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. So 7 platforms. Those are all during the live show. After the fact, we do make, package it up into a podcast. Kevin polishes it up a little bit. And we put that on our website, twit.tv/WW. There's a YouTube channel that's dedicated just to Windows Weekly. And actually, that's a great way to share clips of the show. And easiest thing to do, though, is subscribe in your favorite podcast client, Windows Weekly. Just search for that, audio or video or both. It's free, and you'll get it automatically as soon as it's done. Paul Thurrott hangs his hat at thurrott.com. Great place to go to get the latest Windows news. And if you're a premium member, you get a lot that and a lot more, plus copies of all of his books. Is that still available? Is that still part of the premium?
Yes, that's an ongoing perk.
Ongoing pike. If you're already a member, or or you just want to give Paul more money, get the books at leanpub.com. Always welcome.
Appreciated.
Always welcome. Richard Campbell is at RunAsRadio.com, and that's where you'll also find not only Run As Radio, but his other podcast with Carl Franklin, .NET Rocks. And that's where you find the Geek Outs, by the way, some good space Geek Outs on that channel if you search for those. Thank you, Richard. Enjoy your time in Tauranga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, rest of this week and then off to Sydney for the NDC Sydney conference. So
nice.
Yeah.
And thank you, Paul. Enjoy your time in Mexico City. And I'm going back to my meager lunch.
I feel vaguely sad about your lunch, but
that was a great lunch. It was basically a pub lunch. It was sharp cheddar and an apple, little turkey, some pickles. It was a plowman's lunch, yeah.
And your negotiations to have the Sonos speaker speak to you.
Yes, right. We're getting there.
Yeah, but did you get like a pint of beer with this, or
yeah?
No,
not.
No.
Usually comes with a half loaf of rye bread, right?
I got a pub favorite. It's the 30 grams of protein in a Fairlife protein drink.
Okay.
It's sad what lengths we go to try to live longer. Yeah. Especially since it's completely futile.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just trying to feel good for those
that's right.
Into home, right?
I just want to make it to feel good. Let me just show you. I'll test the studio speakers again. I want to play it for Paul and Richard just to show you. Comes through. The speakers are in the ceiling in this room.
Oh, so you've got those
I've got built-in
Sonos compatible.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
So it fills the room. Yeah.
Then Anastasia Lisa go, Leo!
I know. A little problem there. I do live with somebody. Oh, shoot. Yeah, it was asking you. It's funny. It did ask me. It says, now, if you're playing music on all the speakers, do you want me to interrupt? And I said, yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Interrupt.
Try
you call that Bluetooth mode.
Duck the music and play over and have the voice.
Oh, I probably could do that. I could say duck the music.
I think that'd be
the next step in this is I want to be able to by voice command say read my book to me or play my music to me and stuff like that. Right. I think that's going to be pretty straightforward, but I try to do little bits at a time. Thank you.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Is that Home Assistant there? Is that HA you're talking to?
No, that's Claude. Claude's doing it all by itself, but because I do have a Home Assistant Green, and I have this ESP32 now, which has full Home Assistant support. In fact, look at that. This is a temperature sensor, and then there's a moisture sensor, and that's temperature. Oh, this says radar. I don't know what this is. I guess it's a motion sensor.
It's an occupancy sensor, like it knows you're there. Yeah.
So that's pretty wild. So
they're cool.
Yeah, I'm setting this up to do a little more with the HA.
Yes.
And of course, Claude speaks HA like everything else perfectly fluently. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday for another thrilling, gripping edition of Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.
And I am headed for dim sum with my mother.
Sounds great.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mom lives in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that's why you went there. I thought they were like cousins and stuff. That's your mom's
There's
place.
that too. And I moved. She wanted to move back to New Zealand. She'd been living in Canada for a long time. So
Nice. How
I got
long
her
has she
down
been
there a few
back?
years
Escape the oppression in Canada. You know,
like 3
Damn
three
Mark
years.
Carney. What a tyrant.
that guy and his coalition.
Oh,
He's
man, I
working
loved
effectively
Mark's,
with other countries.
I loved Mark's speech yesterday. That was fiery to the Liberal convention. Fiery speech.
Well, he's had what 5 or 6 politicians cross the floor to join his party now. So he's actually ended up with a majority.
It's really interesting to watch what's
So
happening.
you're suggesting politics can work.
I know, weird.
The right kind.
When you're not all about populism and kind of actually trying to get stuff done. So
Yeah.
strange.
It's one way of doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Carney's turning. I mean, I thought he was kind of a non-entity and a compromise candidate, but he's actually turning out to be, I think, pretty good. Right?
Yep.
Is that the general?
He's an economist and a diplomat.
Yeah.
And
That's what
kind
you
of
need.
undramatic, which is weird. Like people ask me, what is he like? He's like, he's kind of dull. I kind of like
Yeah.
dull.
I
Dull
feel
is
good when I go to bed. I can just sleep.
Yeah.
Everything's great. Oh, sounds nice.
He's got a dry sense of humor. He says things like, I'm a man of the every people. I've eaten an airport muffin.
Wow.
Now, if Eric Swalwell said that would mean something completely different. But
Oh, yeah.
in Mark Carney's mouth, I think those
We're ending
words
the show the
sound
way we
fine.
began it.
Yes. Thanks, everybody. As Richard downs the rest of the whiskey.
But
We'll see you next time.
See my mother with whiskey.
I
on
would
my
need it
breath.
for my
It's
mother,
excellent.
so that makes sense.
Dim sum on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.